Hello, welcome again. I think we've seen each other like what 13 hours ago last, so that will be a very short break between the streams that I'm on. However, we are meeting here to talk about Novak Djokovic playing Aleksandar Kovacevic, round one of the French Open. Of course, they're just entering the court. I will try to maybe what can I do here with the view of the stream? I wonder. Anyway, before I say much, I guess I'm gonna wait for someone to actually join. But for now, of course, we are going to talk about the match. Kovacevic Djokovic 2023 Roland Garros first round. This is actually Kovacevic's first Grand Slam main draw. He had a couple of US Open wildcards, but they were to the qualies, where once he almost made it in against Trunheliti. Last year, he, I think, lost to Denis Novak in the opening round. Then also this year, he missed out on qualifying at the Australian Open. So he still hasn't played a Grand Slam main draw. We see if he is able to do it this time. Of course, as usual, I encourage you to leave comments, whatever you want to talk about in the chat. We should also probably in a second talk about some of the other matches that have been going on. Definitely, right? And yeah, we'll see how it goes. No one expects anything from Kovacevic in this matchup, probably. That's mostly due to, a couple of reasons. One is the fact that he still has not won a red clay match in his career. And that's after 7 matches, so maybe the sample size isn't that huge. It's still reasonably small, I would say. But anyway, 0-7, 0-4 this year on red clay, even including that synthetic one in Houston, which plays much faster than the usual European red stuff. He also showed up in Verona 2021, playing qualifying for a challenger, didn't win. And also last year he played a couple of matches in Colombia at high altitude, and he also did not win either of them. So for that reason, I think it's certainly going to be pretty rough. And the second reason that I mentioned, it's Novak Djokovic, right? So it's just a nightmare draw for Kovacevic, who I think is still on red clay. He's probably among the weakest players in the field. So it's not like he would have had many winning chances against other players, but I don't know. He could have drawn, Patrick Gibson. He could have drawn Genaro Alberto Olivieri, but he drew Novak Djokovic, and that makes his life really, really hard. How hard? We're going to see. I would assume that it's going to be a rather short match, but we shall see. I did... very recently I saw Kovacevic live on clay, and honestly, in Cagliari when he played Taro Daniel, he had a pretty decent set actually in there. He lost in 3, but he also did not seem like he had much expectations, regarding himself in these conditions. So I'm not sure how it's gonna look really. I think he's playing Djokovic. Perhaps it's actually a good thing because he's gonna come out and maybe be able to swing freely. I do think that he's also going to be he's going to have to be hitting through his backhand a lot more than he usually does. Kovacevic has a one-hander, which it is a decent shot. It's certainly improved. He's able to do a lot more on the defense with it right now, compared to in the past, which is great for him, 100%. However, on clay, I think if he's just gonna allow it to sit up and allow Djokovic to dictate, I don't think there's gonna be much there, in these sort of patterns for him. I think he needs to be a lot more, just braver with it. Just gonna have to try hitting these one-handed backhands, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? I mean, what can you do really? You're playing a 22-time Grand Slam champion. You kind of have to go take risks. Another aspect of this match, I guess, that we have to mention is the fact that Kovacevic has many times mentioned that Djokovic is his idol. As you could probably guess out of Kovacevic's surname, he is of Serbian origin. So sometimes it's just really hard, right, to play a guy whom you've been following for years, who has been one of the reasons why you maybe picked up a racket or got even deeper into the sport. We've seen players struggle in such circumstances. I totally get it, right? I mean, if I was going to play, um, I don't know, Roger Federer, let's say, who was definitely like the person that got me into tennis, the player that got me into tennis, I would be really nervous and I would be doing everything to try to impress him. And if your mindset is that impress the guy on the other side of the net, then you're not going to be thinking about how do I win this match. You're going to be just thinking of impressing him, and that's that's not amazing. Of course, that's not something you should be doing. Is Kovacevic going to be able to like stop thinking like this? I actually think he might. I think really just no one expecting anything from him here is pretty good for him, I suppose, and I would assume that he actually comes out swinging and at least tries to take the game to Djokovic. We'll just see if it's possible on the clay in Paris. It doesn't seem like it, but I was actually like today I was just glancing at some odds, and Kovacevic to beat Djokovic is like priced the same as Maroshan was to beat Alcaraz in Rome, which again kind of shows you how stupid that pricing of Maroshan was, right? I mean, a player who's 10 times as good as Kovacevic on clay, playing in the best of three format. But yeah, that's like neither here nor there really, but I think Kovacevic is definitely a very deserved underdog today. Still hasn't won a match on red clay today, and this is a very this is not the perfect moment to do it. It seems insurmountable. Maybe we'll see some fireworks depending on how he comes out mentally. Of course, there's also that one big aspect of Djokovic, the fact that his clay season was not perfect, the fact that he struggled with an elbow injury. Um, the question is whether we will actually be able to see after this match how Djokovic looks, and I'm not sure about this. I think we might actually like have very little info after today still, unless Kovacevic really manages to trouble him. But we're not gonna know it until we actually see it, I think. For now, it really seems like this will be very lopsided, but who knows? They are warming up now, by the way. Jack might be coming later, but as far as I know, he hasn't like given an ETA or anything. He is like just gonna come in at some point. So yeah, for now we're just gonna be rolling like this. I wish I could show something on the screen, but my ugly face. But I actually I'm not sure that I can do it on this setup. So I mean, I definitely like it is possible. It is possible in that sense of the word "can" in that meaning, but I personally do not have that ability myself. So anyway, let's get going. It seems because I think Djokovic has just been given the balls so that he can start the match. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what's gonna come out of this. As I said, one of the first appearances for Kovacevic on the main tour, the first one in a Grand Slam main draw. It's a really big moment for the American, and a potential win here would just be something absolutely insane, and maybe the beginning of yet another chapter in his career. He's currently like on the verge of breaking the top 100. I do think he will do it reasonably early. Just he hasn't amassed any points during the clay season, so of course he has slowed down a little bit. Oh wow! And he has come out swinging. Found a pretty decent slice at first to just slow down the play a little, then stepped into a couple of backhands and eventually tried to find that big winner down the line. Just missed it, but this is the sort of tennis that Kovacevic should be playing here, right? And actually, in that match that I mentioned, I watched live this year, well, a month ago in Cagliari from him against Taro Daniel. he found a lot of these backhand down the line stunners. Like that was the one shot I think that really left an impression there. And hopefully he can keep providing them, because Djokovic is going to keep pinning him to that backhand corner, I suppose. And Kovacevic needs to come up with something. Needs to come up with something to try to stay alive. Try to stay not to be too defensive from that wing, because as I said earlier, I just think that what he usually plays, so a lot of slight defense, I'm not sure it's going to work out against Djokovic and on this sort of court. So probably he needs to step into these backhands a bit more. He got what he wanted here. He ran around his backhand and fired a pretty decent second serve return, but then just makes a mistake on this mid-court forehand. But this is what he wanted, right? This is the sort of point that he wants to be playing on the Djokovic serve after the Serb misses the first delivery. He can't get to that serve. I think this will be Djokovic's first ace of the match. When it comes to the serving, is that really an advantage for Kovacevic? Maybe on like a quicker hard court, he has a more threatening delivery than Djokovic, but on clay, I'm not sure it will really matter at all. Of course, we know that Djokovic has improved his serve so much over the years that he's basically like a top 15 server right now himself. So I don't think it's really something that Kovacevic can look to exploit today. And Djokovic wins the first game. Not a poor one from Kovacevic, I would say. Definitely that first point was just excellently played. He barely missed that backhand down the line. But yeah, the big question is how will his hold now look, or whether it will be a hold at all. Because if we start from like free love Djokovic here, it would just be even tougher mentally for Kovacevic to keep believing, keep actually thinking that I can win this match. I hope that that's his that's what he has in his head right now, because I know it's not easy, coming out against Djokovic on a court you don't really like at all, on in conditions you are not really familiar with or great in, and then you have to come out against someone like Djokovic in your Grand Slam debut. But yeah, we'll see. If he has the belief, maybe he will keep it competitive. Let's hope we see at least some action here, and maybe that would also give us more indication of where Djokovic is. Great second serve from the American, and he follows it up with a nice backhand. Still was quite surprised with the return that Djokovic managed to get back into the court, because, well, the second serve was really risky, but he recovers well enough and just fires a backhand cross court that Djokovic cannot quite put back into the court. Very risky second serve there, but it works out for the American, who gets the first point of his service game. Whew, that first serve was like 3 miles out, but we'll see what he does now, whether he takes some risks again or no, just a regular kicker here. And yeah, these are the sort of rallies where we're going to see like what Kova is made of here, I think. Whether he can survive against Djokovic in these sort of exchanges where Djokovic is just sending the ball from one corner to another with his backhand, and Kovacevic is slicing it. Well, this one he actually survived. Djokovic lost his balance there a little bit on the approach shot, and Kovacevic was in time to hit a backhand down the line pass, which Djokovic caught on the racket, but he didn't make it. He didn't make the volley over the net. This was mostly on the fact that Djokovic lost balance, but yeah, we'll see if over the course of the match these sort of points are really as going to be as one-sided as they might be. But yeah, basically a very nicely played attacking action from Djokovic, attacking combination, but the finisher was not there. mostly as he just lost balance. That's a nice +1 forehand from Kovacevic. Apparently, just clipped the line. I wouldn't be able to tell you that honestly, even from the replay. But oh yeah, from the replay maybe I would actually. But from the live feed, it was hard to tell. But 3 game points, and he could be off to a good start. His backhand cleaves the net, and now it's Djokovic. Yeah, definitely seems like after the first few points, like if Djokovic is just hitting a deep forehand into inside out, especially from into the Kovacevic backhand, and what comes back is the slice. It seems like this is just not going to be a good enough pattern for Kovacevic. On a faster court, yes, it perhaps would have been, um, but here, not necessarily. Kovacevic goes for the +1 drop shot. It's not perfect, but it actually works out because Djokovic plays the response at him, and there's a very nice pickup, a little bit of a half volley from Kovacevic to get it back to level terms. Hey Jane, good morning. For me, it's like 2 p.m., but good morning to you. And yeah, let's see what Djokovic does here. I remember, I think from yesterday, that you were very excited about Fils Davidovich Fokina. I think it's later. That's a bit later in the day, of course, but hopefully Djokovic and Kovacevic can be a nice bridge into that match. Djokovic sends Kovacevic running again. A couple of very nice forehand squash shots on the defense from Kovacevic already, but this one drops really short, and Djokovic just claims it for the winner. Yeah, let's maybe mention the some of the other matches as well, as Jane is talking about Shapo, who was 2-love up on Nakashima. Now it seems to have gotten a lot more complicated. I actually have not checked out that much at all. I was watching Per and Nori for sure. That's one of the stories of the day. But I guess that's kind of what we said with Vansh yesterday, that Per just really delivers for these matches. He is always able to step up like against a high quality opponent, especially in France. And definitely today so far he has been excellent. Two sets all currently, and if he has enough left, he might as well beat the Brit. Yuncheng Shang was two sets to love up on Varias, but now it's they're going into the decider as well. And the same actually situation is in Zapata Miralles Schwartzman. Although I'm assuming that based on the scoreline of the last 2 sets, Zapata Miralles is probably not fine physically. He just retired in Geneva, right? Down, what was it, love 6, love 3 to Christopher O'Connell. So not amazing. Karatsev won the first set, but he might be in a bit of trouble in the second. Oh, actually, he saved the breakpoint. And of course, Auger-Aliassime is down a set to Fognini, which also would be one of the, well, slight upsets of the day if Fognini manages to complete it. But that's, of course, mostly with Auger-Aliassime's form and his general, his clay records, especially at Roland Garros, not being great in the past. Not counting last year, but even last year, he was 2 sets to love down against Varias in the opening round, before, of course, having a great event actually, in the end. And Djokovic has 2 game points to go 2-1 up. Very short backhand return from Kovacevic, who didn't quite connect with it, and Djokovic just puts it away. Nothing much in the nothing so far really. We've seen exactly what we were expecting. The question now is if Kovacevic can actually keep holding his serve, and I guess we're gonna see it after the changeover. Perhaps on his serve, it's going to be just a lot easier for him to avoid these rallies where Djokovic is just directing big depth into his backhand slice and eventually, either approaching the net or just putting the ball away for a winner. We've also seen Djokovic play through his forehand a little bit. That's perhaps something that he has been doing against these players who seemingly have like backhand weaknesses. But at the same time, if you just keep playing into their backhands, maybe it's not the best thing in the world. And we have seen him pull them wide into the forehand corner quite a lot, like against Tsitsipas Rublev recently. And it's also been a very good tactic for the Serbian. So yeah, Kovacevic is not really that far away in terms of the dynamics of play. I think from these guys against Djokovic. So of course they don't really have a defensive slice, but maybe that actually makes Kovacevic a lot easier for Djokovic to play. If he goes deep into the backhand corner of Tsitsipas or Rublev, it's probably not going to be a slice. It's probably going to be like a just a pretty decent ball coming back, and Kovacevic is probably going to try to bail himself out of the slice, and we'll see if on clay this is something that holds up against Djokovic. Gut says no, but we'll see. Very nice serve from Kovacevic. He approaches the net. Okay. Let it bounce. There are people who are definitely in that charge of that you have to let the ball bounce instead of smashing it. That it's simply easier. In this case, it was definitely easier for Kovacevic, who just puts the forehand away. I don't know if he was lucky or if he actually checked out which direction Djokovic was heading into, but it looked like he probably might have checked out where Nole was heading and just played into the open space. Tried to go for a huge +1 forehand now here as well, down the middle, but just misses it. Maybe a little too flat. But the height of the ball was definitely quite inviting for that sort of play. Pretty nasty second serve kicker from Kovacevic, and he gets a weak response because of it. Djokovic's defense is really good though, and he is back into the point without much issues. Now playing off the backhand to the backhand of Kovacevic, Djokovic finds a good drop shot, and it's good enough. Kovacevic ran it down, almost made it through the net, but it's just wide actually. Yeah, Kovacevic was definitely expecting another hit to his backhand there, and that drop shot down the line surprised him a lot. But that's Djokovic's favorite drop shot. Favorite moment, favorite direction, favorite placement for a drop shot. So maybe you should be expecting it a bit more, especially if he's as deep into his backhand corner as he was in this rally. So 15-30 down on the American is right now on his serve. Moonball return from Djokovic, very interesting. But I think this has been the way of for him of fending off the Kovacevic kicker so far. It's effective. I mean, he definitely has remained in the points because of it. But now he just commits an error while trying to hit another forehand with a lot of height on it, and it's 30-all. Not getting too many first serves in Kovacevic so far, and it's gonna have to be a second one again. But that kick is pretty nice. This time he went for a more conventional second serve though. Not sure if it was the best choice. And now we have Djokovic dictating of the inside-out forehand into the Kovacevic backhand. But Kovacevic kind of bailed himself out there. He was actually willing to step into the backhand, as we were talking about earlier. Got it very deep into the Djokovic forehand. He kind of had to play off the half volley and eventually commits an error. But the umpire, I think maybe John Blom, or am I not right? I think it's John Blom, came down and says that it was in. So we are going to Well, I don't think we're going to repeat this point, right? Yeah, I think Kovacevic could have played it, but he just didn't. So yeah, it's breakpoint Djokovic now. The ball was on the line, and yeah, Djokovic has his first opportunity of the match to break Kovacevic's serve. The second serve was quite risky from Kovacevic again, and I think Djokovic was doubting himself, like, just wasn't really sure if it was going to land in or not. And that moment just of uncertainty definitely put him out of position, made him lose balance, and a nice idea from Kovacevic to just repeat the direction there, completely wrong footing, the Serbian. Deuce, he is still holding on. Obviously quite pivotal for him to win this game, I think. Well, gets a short return now and just puts it away. So a game point Kovacevic. Is him going to all against Djokovic already a surprise? I wouldn't go that far, but certainly, like if Kovacevic is going to be winning like 4 or 5 games a set, we're already going to be a bit surprised. But yeah, 2-all probably not much yet. That second serve kick was in, and apparently Djokovic's return was in. A couple of lines hit there by the players. Yeah, Kovacevic is definitely a bit more willing to hit off his backhand, hit just normal topspin backhands instead of the slice, as he has to be on the clay. But and forehand unforced error does not allow him to complete that game yet. Almost 6 minutes already, but Kovacevic still hasn't held, and it's deuce. Sorry. Will we see another breakpoint now, or will we see a game point for Djokovic? Second serve from Kovacevic. I will maybe check after this game, but I think his percentages have not been great. Of course, it's just 2 games, so the sample size isn't that huge. But that's probably also one of the things that he needs to be doing against Djokovic. And now in this little backhand exchange, it's actually Djokovic who commits the first error, backhand into the net, and Kovacevic gets another game point. I mean, he definitely has come out with belief. He has come out with motivation. He looks like he thinks he can win this match, and that's good. As I said earlier, I was not certain if that was going to be the case, but it definitely has been so far. Not getting that much out of this first serve, even, and we'll see if Djokovic is able to. Not really. A bit of a funky angle from Kovacevic on that forehand, and Djokovic was trying to find a sharp forehand down the line, which he barely misses. So after 18 minutes of play, we are at 2-all. Jane says she's flipping between Ivashka Demon. Okay. That's a pretty interesting one as well. I mean, it got interesting. Of course, it's just ended, but it got interesting after the second set. Felt like it could have been a very easy cleanup for the minor, but then he kind of choked the second set away. And Nakashima Shapovalov are going into the fifth set. Per is also up a break in the fifth. Lots of five setters right now. Zapata Miralles, Schwartzman, Shank Varias, Per, Nori, Nakashima Shapovalov. 4 or 5 setters going on in a row. And just like yesterday, we also have this situation when we have like 10 men's matches at the same time and none on the women's side. But it's actually very explainable, right? I mean, at 11 a.m. In local time, of course, they start like the same amount of men's and women's matches. And then when the first batch of women's matches finish, men step onto these courts. But at the same time, the men's matches from 11 a.m., they still haven't finished. So I think we're going to see it actually every day. This sort of paradox maybe when 10 men's matches are going on at the same time and none on the women's side. But that's kind of how the scheduling, I think, has to work. And also Varias and Schwartzman are up a break in the fifth. They have all the momentum. We'll see if all these matches like Nakashima, Shapovalov, Shank, Varias, and Zapata Miralles, Schwartzman end like this usually ends. So the player A, let's say, wins the first 2 sets, and then he loses in 5. rather than actually coming back to win in five. Well, not coming back to win in five, but when it's the other guy gets it to two sets all, and you try to pull it back somehow. A very short hold for Djokovic here, 3-2 up. I saw an ace there. I saw a very quick +1 forehand point. So after just 20 minutes, Djokovic 3-2 up. No breaks yet. He had one opportunity. Let's look at some other stuff. Maybe Wawrinka and Ramos heading to a tiebreak. Looks like Chris O'Connell is injured as well, and we don't know if he's gonna make it to the end of the match against Taro Daniel even. Schwartzman up a break on Zapata Miralles, but I would also assume that it's because of the health issues that Bernabe has been facing. Per Nori is definitely the match of the day so far. I don't know if today during the last ball show, if we're also going to be choosing our matches of the day. Yesterday we did that with Vansh, and I think Vansh chose Vesely Tsitsipas. I think I chose Sakari Mukova. But if we're choosing that today with Vansh or whoever will be there, because I think I am one of the people who are supposed to be there today, and if we're choosing that, it's likely that it's going to be Per Nori. That's been really excellent. I did not see the fourth set. I have it on my second screen right now. I watched the first three though. And also Draper has retired. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but apparently he was serving underarm in the first set. So sadly, he still is not. The fitness issues are still not gone. Even though in Lyon he looked fine in 3 matches, right? But whenever he actually manages to get this sorted out, I think he has a wonderful chance to be a top 10 player in the future. On clay as well. I mean, he will be excellent on clay, I think. But the question is again whether he can actually stay healthy over an extended period of time. I don't like the call there from Kovacevic to go for the drop shot. It was just a very regular forehand that he puts away 90% of the time. But he decides to actually trick Djokovic a little bit, except that Djokovic read him like a book and just cleans it up down the line. So love 15 in the 2-3 service game for Kovacevic. Yeah, but Djokovic just misses a regulation return. Nothing really that was unmakeable on the second serve. Maybe he hasn't been handling that Kovacevic kicker that well. Yeah, and Kovacevic is on 47% on his first serve, which I kind of hinted at that it's probably not the highest so far, but still a lot of time to improve it. I mean, just the third game. We'll see how he does in this rally. That's like a short slice from Djokovic. Interested to know if it was actually an accident or not. Kovacevic tries to find that big inside-out forehand. I definitely like the play, but he just misses it. Would have been a winner if it landed on the line, I think, or at least given him a put away next time, a sitter, because Djokovic was not really gonna get it back with interest from that position. So good play, but just a little short on the execution. Another time, Djokovic kind of loses balance, and I think this was due to the nice direction choice from Kovacevic here. But we've seen it a couple of times already that Djokovic is kind of unsure with his movement, I would say. But that's probably the first match in Paris this week. He's probably gonna get better with this, I suppose. I would assume. They're now playing forehands to forehands. Nice little. Ooh, there was some nice height on the and the spin on the Djokovic forehand down the line, and Kovacevic does not slice it back into the court. But yeah, I think that the spin on the Djokovic forehand made it a lot trickier than it would have been otherwise. Just wasn't that easy for him to knife through that slice, and he ended up floating it a little too much. Another one of these from Djokovic, but this time Kovacevic goes for a backhand, for a topspin backhand, and it seems to work out a little better. Yeah, but once Djokovic has him deep in that backhand corner and Kovacevic has to slice, it's just so hard for him to stay in the point. If Djokovic is just hitting these inside out forehands, and he has the choice to go down the line, he has the choice to go cross court. Kovacevic has no idea what he's gonna do from that position because he could very easily hit both. And yeah, it's definitely a bit overwhelming for the Americans so far. And 4-2 up, Djokovic. We have a stat on the screen of about average the rally when serving. Djokovic a lot quicker when it comes to winning his service points, which again maybe you wouldn't really expect because you think that Kovacevic, he's a guy who probably depends on his serve a lot more than Djokovic. But countless things have been said about how much the Serbian has improved his serve over the past decade or so, or something like that. So no real need to talk about it again. I suppose, but everyone knows by now how strong it is, and that it might actually be just as good as Kovacevic's serve, even if it's kind of counterintuitive. Another good point from Djokovic, going deep into the Kovacevic backhand, and while this time Kova decides to just try to pass him, it's just nowhere near good enough. Pretty good falling technique there from Djokovic, keeping the footwork and the motion of the arm very, very clean. Good serve to the Kovacevic backhand, getting a +1 forehand inside out, inside in winner. And that's exactly how the points have been so short, right? Just a good serve from Djokovic is setting him up for a big stroke, even though realistically you would think that Kovacevic has the more aggressive game plan, but he just cannot really quite show it so far, especially on the clay courts. And it looks like Djokovic will sail to another easy hold here. He says sorry for having to catch the ball and toss it again, but that's probably not going to distract him that much. Gets another short return from Kovacevic, and it's a +1 forehand winner. Well, Djokovic is just kind of flying right now with the forehand winners, but again, he is getting some short balls. Like he's getting plenty of opportunities to fire them. So as much as this has been a very decent showing from Djokovic, I also think that we haven't really seen him tested enough. And yeah, it's kind of doubtful if Kovacevic will be able to do it at all, but we'll see. Last 15 points, Djokovic has won 12 of them, which is why he leads 5-2. Matthew saying something. Damn, how are the courts playing? Hearing that it's slower than usual, Medvedev said he liked it, while Kachanov said it was harder to hit for the court. Definitely, I would say they are really pretty much on the slower side, and that's how it's been looking from the qualifying. But I think it's also going to depend on the weather, on the day, right? When it's hot, sunny, probably going to play a touch faster. But yeah, plenty of players have said that it's actually slower. I've also heard some opinions, to the contrary, which is just so wild to me that even between the players, these statements vary. Like, they play on the same courts, they are pros, and yet they very often just have completely contrasting opinions when it comes to the speed of the court. For example, last year I was in Bratislava at the Challenger in November, and they just used two courts, right, indoors. And the main arena was like painfully slow for an indoor court, I would say. Some guys like, I don't know, Tim van Rijthoven, when he played there, he played Durasovic, and then he lost to oh Jesus, maybe Cem Ilkel, and he couldn't hit through the court at all. His forehand was non-existent in that match. But on the other court number one, it was just rapid. Everything was just a blitz. There was a match, for example, between Maroshan and Struff, which was just both guys just killing it and finishing every single point in every single in just one or two shots. And all the players would tell you that court number one is ultra fast, the center court is much slower. And then you have Cem Ilkel, who, by the way, made the semis and like played matches on both. And he tells you that court number one is actually really slow and that the center court is too fast for him. And what can you do? I mean, apparently even the pros can have completely different opinions on this. I think he actually was just straight up wrong. Jamilkar was, but I didn't tell that to him. I didn't tell him he was wrong, but I think he was. I think maybe it was like his ability to slow down the play a little bit and like wait for his opportunity to attack, and that kind of made it seem for him like like he was like the court was actually pretty slow. The second court in Bratislava, but yeah, it's just wild to me that there can be so many differences in terms of this, and even the players won't really be able to tell you how it is. Anyway, also Jane says that Felix Auger-Aliassime is stretching out his hamstring intermittently, which is not a great sign. Wasn't it his shoulder that was the cause for his withdrawal from Lyon? So that would be, I guess, another issue that he has. Not a great sign for the rest of his tournament. Anyway, Kovacevic held very quickly, finally finding some 3 points. And now Djokovic will try to serve out the set. Whew. Amazing placement on that second serve. I mean, maybe Kovacevic was like a step too much towards the left, because he, of course, is trying to, especially on second serve return, he is trying to run around his backhand and try to hit everything off the forehand. But that slider of Djokovic towards the right side of the court was just insane anyway. Another really good serve, but this time Kovacevic connects with it. Oh, and there was, I actually just remembered that there was one more comment from Matthew about Novak looks a bit slow when he's on the defensive. Hope that is a temporary issue. Yeah, I can't really bring myself to like understand if it was just Kovacevic's placement here. The fact that he has been able to wrong foot him a few times. But definitely his defense so far hasn't really been that good, and maybe that point that we've just seen is just another example of that. But then again, against Kovacevic, he's not going to have to play much defense. So don't think that will matter today. It could matter later on. But for me, so far, it just mainly looked like balance issues. And, when changing directions, he hasn't been that clean. Yeah, maybe this is just something that he will work out with time on the French Open courts. Of course, he's had plenty of time on the French Open courts already in terms of practicing, but matches are a little different. Practicing, you mostly do exercises, rather than actually play points. Of course, you do that too, but most of the time is actually like spent on other things. That's a bit of a mishit from Kovacevic on the forehand on the slide. Pretty decent movement for Kovacevic's clay experience, I would say, but he doesn't time the shot well. That Djokovic serve is not in, but he has 2 set points and will try to clinch it as soon as possible, of course. Some good depth into the Kovacevic forehand gives him the control over the point. But Kovacevic somehow managed to stay in it. He, again, like in a position where he usually hits the slice, he actually hit a topspin backhand. But it's so hard for him to find like an opening against Djokovic here without having to go for too much. and we'll see who wins this very long rally. A bit of a bad bounce, and Kovacevic shanks the forehand. It's just like barely into the middle of the net. So 35 minutes, Djokovic Kovacevic 6-3. Any thoughts after this opening set? Kinda what we were talking about at the beginning, I think, with Kovacevic having to use more of his topspin backhand than usual. Because if he's just slicing defensively, he's never beating Djokovic. Of course, it's not like he cannot slice at all, but it just cannot be like a Hail Mary. It has to be an actual shot with interest. And then at the same time, Djokovic pretty aggressive and not really doing much wrong, playing exactly the sort of match that he has to today. It doesn't fuel me it doesn't fuel me with confidence that this match will be more competitive than we were expecting. Although I can't also say that it was a poor set from Kovacevic. He was just really very comfortably outplayed. You could definitely say that. 29 points won by Djokovic, 11 by Kovacevic, 16-4 in terms of winners, which I guess is kind of striking, right? Because if some of you guys watched Kovacevic on a faster court before, you would probably expect him to be like the more aggressive player in most conditions, but like that's the reality on clay. Djokovic is actually able to dominate the dynamics of play here. Is there a good explanation for Felix Auger-Aliassime not improving that much? I mean, he had a phenomenal second half of 2022, right? So he has made some improvements. I mean, his backhand is still pretty awful, and when he cannot cover for it, like on a very fast indoor court, it becomes an issue. It becomes an issue, especially against players who are like complete and don't have any exposable weaknesses like this. I don't know if I ever see him like winning a slam with it. It's probably going to be quite hard because when you just put him against guys like Rune, Alcaraz, Sinner, the difference is very very clearly visible. Especially maybe Rune and Alcaraz, but Sinner also doesn't really have any ways you can potentially like attack him and exploit him. I think he could win Wimbledon, says Sean. Yeah, maybe his best chance, right? No one out of the next gen is like super comfortable on grass. He was in the semifinals before, I believe. 2020 whatever. 2020? No, 2020 there was no Wimbledon. So what was it? 2021 he couldn't have been in the semis, right? So was it just the quarterfinals and I'm just messing it up? Maybe it was just the quarterfinals. Let me check that. But quarterfinals 2021. Just with plenty of the next gen players not being able to play on grass that well, with the ability to hide his weaknesses a bit more on that surface, very possible that he could win Wimbledon in the future. Why not? Should be his best chance. Of course, Roland Garros is not really an option, I think. Australia, US Open, maybe. But all of these other top guys kinda I just don't really think he's going to stand up well against guys like Alcaraz, Rune, Sinner. I know he has a pretty good record against Alcaraz, like he was 3-1 up against him, but at the US Open I think Alcaraz retired, and then the other two matches were they both indoors or something like that, I think. And when they played in Indian Wells this year, it was a pretty decent match from Auger-Aliassime, but maybe that's not actually a good thing that he played a good match against Alcaraz and still wasn't like too competitive. But yeah, indoor hard. If there was a slam like in Basel or something, I would be fancying his chances, definitely. But it's kind of hard to see it right now, frankly. I think the other top players of the next era might just be a bit too good. But he still has so much time. I mean, because of how early he was already an excellent prospect, it kind of feels like we've had Auger-Aliassime on tour for like 10 years, which, well, more or less is actually true. But that doesn't mean that he still doesn't have, like 15 years ahead of him, potentially, if he wants to play for so long. So, yeah, kind of important to remember, I suppose, that he is still extremely young. And maybe let's see what's happening. Oh, actually, Zapata Miralles has pulled it back into in that fifth set, and Paris still a break up, but it's kind of close. It's 15-40 down on Paris serve now, so maybe that break is going to be reverted. And Nakashima Shapovalov going into the fifth. I guess we all expected a close match there. I really like Arnaldi's chances against either in the second round, I think. Speaking of second rounds, Djokovic will, if he beats Kovacevic, of course, Djokovic or Kovacevic will play Marton Fucsovic, who defeated Hugo Grenier yesterday. I think it would be a better indication of where Djokovic is than his match against Kovacevic, just because Fucsovic has been like a very he has been a troubling opponent for him in the past. He hasn't exactly like beaten Djokovic, but he always made him work for it. And it's also going to be a matchup with a lot more like just balanced baseline play, lots of longer rallies. Whereas here we see that, especially on the Djokovic serve, he is really the aggressor and he is just putting everything away pretty quickly. And Fucsovic, it will just be a very different match, and I think one that could be a lot more telling in terms of where Djokovic is right now exactly. Whereas today, I'm kind of expecting, the first set to be pretty similar to how the next two are going to go. And then did we really learn anything? Probably not, right? But anyway, it's deuce on the Kovacevic serve now. First game of the second set. He had a game point, but he double faulted. I don't think that serve was in, so there's going to be another second one. Will Djokovic be trying for a look for a big return? Not really. He's comfortable just getting the ball back to Kovacevic and kind of seeing what he does with it. But the American, sorry, surprises him with the backhand down the line. Looks like Djokovic just completely did not expect that shot. I think this is the second time in the match when Kova goes for it, so maybe it was actually pretty understandable that Djokovic did not expect it. The first being one of the first points of the second game of the match, so quite a long while ago already, over half an hour. Not a very easy shot, of course, one-hander down the line, but Kovacevic does it pretty well. And as I was talking about earlier, when I watched him live a month ago, it was definitely the shot that stood out when it comes to his clay, pedigree and just clay skill set, which isn't that great. Very nice combo from Djokovic now. Deep return to the Kovacevic backhand and just puts the +1 forehand away. I don't know if it's a matter of reading maybe Djokovic's game a little bit better. Maybe Kovacevic can improve in that in the like in an hour or in a half hour or something. But certainly when Djokovic has any sort of short ball, it seems like the Serbian just has no idea where to go. Absolutely, but on a short ball, it's not that easy. So we'll see. And great serve from Kovacevic here. That was also a second one, so it's a second serve ace. Fantastic slider to the wide out wide to Djokovic's forehand, and nothing really you can do there. Will he clinch this game this time around on the third breakpoint, I believe? Moonball from Djokovic, and Kovacevic tries to hit a inside-out forehand, but was clearly uncomfortable with the height of the bounce and misses it by quite a while. Quite well. Yeah, misses it pretty long actually. So 5.5 minutes already in this game as well. Getting complicated, of course. In from Kovacevic's standpoint, like from his perspective, it is absolutely key to win this game. In order to like maintain his winning chances in this set. Looking at how Djokovic's service games have gone so far in this one. Aye. Djokovic with control over the point after another deep return, and Kovacevic shanks the backhand. kind of pissed at himself right now. I suppose this is due to the fact that he had 3 game points already and did not convert any of them, which leads to the fact that Djokovic now has a break point. That's an interesting short slice from Djokovic, and it actually sets him up for the point nicely. And Kovacevic makes the forehand unforced error in the end. So up a set and a break now, Djokovic, and you wouldn't really be wrong if you said that he was kind of cruising here. Lots of interesting 5-setters still going. Shapovalov is up a break in the 5th. Norrie has actually managed to claw his way back into the decider against Per. 5-4 up now, but it's the Frenchman who will serve. And Zapata, Miralles, and Schwartzman still going, 4 all in the 5th. Popyrin looks like he will level the match against Karatsev, as he is 4 set points up in the tiebreaker. He has just lost one on his serve, but will get another one at 6-5, even if Karatsev can win the next 2 points. And looks like Fognini is kind of in control, right? Up a set and a break on Auger Aliassime. Bautista Agut is also very close to being 2 sets to love up on Yibing Wu. And yeah, Chris O'Connell down 2 sets to love against Taro Daniel. Only won 2 games so far, but he had a medical timeout, so I'm assuming something is not quite right. And the one women's match is currently going on, as we were talking about earlier. They are a bit weirdly spread it out, but that's just how the best of 5 format works. And Vondrousova Parks is the one that you can watch right now with 2-all in the opening game. So Vondrousova not able to take advantage of Parks's clay game being kind of weak so far, but it's just 4 games, so we'll see. Very rough, very rough return from Kovacevic there. Did not handle the kicker from Djokovic at all. Tough situation for Kova mentally, for sure. Being down a set and a break here, and he still has not been able to do anything on return. In fact, I think he's won 4 or 5 points on return, probably. I would have to check that, but I think that's probably right. He has won, 3 points on return so far. So you can see how quickly this match can run away from him if that continues. Djokovic goes for another one of these backhand drop shots down the line. A very similar spot as when he went for it in the opening set. A pretty high ball from Kovacevic, the American being deep into his backhand corner, but this time Djokovic nets that drop shot. So this is actually a 4th point, the 4th point that Kovacevic has won on return. So yeah, can he make this game interesting? Yeah, not if Djokovic has this much of a lead in the point after his serve. Just hits a couple of forehands. They weren't anything special. They were really high margin, but they just keep pushing Kovacevic back, and eventually they will force out an error from the American. So 40-15 to go 2-love up in this set. Serve and volley from Djokovic, interesting call. It does give him the point as Kovacevic's lob is not going to make it in. 40-15. You might as well throw in a trick there just to keep the opponent guessing. And that's exactly what Djokovic has done. 49 minutes and 6-3 to love up Djokovic. Another one of these crucial games for Kovacevic coming up, I guess, because of course if he's down 6-3, 3-love, with how he hasn't really been winning return points so far, it's gonna be hard for him to stay alive in this one. But I guess you could really say that all of these service games in this match have been pretty crucial for Kovacevic. Exactly because of that, because of the fact that he hasn't been winning points on return that much. So that's a nice start to the game, though. I see the crowd is trying to cheer him up. Hopes to see a bit more of a competitive match. Djokovic loses his balance again, but this time it was not really like in a defensive play or anything. I guess he just didn't really feel the distance, where he should be on this ball from Kovacevic. I think he did not expect it to just sit up in that little defensive slice from Kovacevic to just sit up on the court, and he was a bit too far behind the ball to get a clean hit. What a second serve from Kovacevic, and yet Djokovic still makes it a wonderful return that gives him the point almost instantly. But that second serve was pretty wicked. Amazing spin on it. But yeah, you're playing one of the best returners in the world, maybe the best of all time, and even a wicked serve like that is actually getting smashed back at your feet. That's pretty brutal. Yeah. And that was just a more regular second serve into the Djokovic body, but he read it like a book again and just blasted for a return winner. Now there's some definite "what am I to do" look on Kovacevic's face, but can't really blame him. This is a really tough environment to make your Grand Slam debut, Grand Slam main draw debut, of course, on a surface you don't like against one of the best players of all time, if not the best. He sends Djokovic running now. Aye. That was a really good, just a really good idea from Kovacevic, I think. He sent Djokovic running wide to the Serbian's forehand side, got a moonball response, and that playing that drive volley while maybe a little ambitious, I think was a really nice call. Just barely misses it. A few of these points in this match already, which like could have been really well executed by Kovacevic, but he just didn't really make it on the line. But I guess that's what Djokovic is making him go for, right? Djokovic is just making him go for these risky shots, and sometimes they're not going to work out. This time he is much cleaner though. Gets a good serve, then an inside out forehand, and caps it off with a smash. Lots of dedication there from Djokovic to try to catch that shot, but he doesn't make it. And I like the fist bump from Kovacevic here. Still fighting, still trying to win this set and of course the match. That's a great serve, but I think it was a let. Just barely though, but a bit of a shame because this another one of these sliders out wide I think would have really given him some very nice benefits. Unlike this, yeah. Oh, actually, Djokovic misses that lob. Maybe it's a bit windy or something because he seems really surprised at first that he missed it. It was a bit of an accidental return that actually gave him such a good chance to win this point with the lob, but he doesn't make it. So, game point Kovacevic. Another moonball return from Djokovic. And he resets the point with it completely. But can he win a long rally? Oh, wow. Djokovic forced him to slice of the forehand and then just completely shocked him by that choice of playing the drop shot there. But Yeah, it was just fantastic. To be honest, if you were a real showstopper, you would probably expect Djokovic on this sort of ball to just slice it cross court, but this was fantastic. Not much you can do there. Second serve from Kovacevic on the deuce point, which is like probably like the fourth deuce in this game already. He tries to go for that weird spinny second serve down the middle again, but this time misses it. So breakpoint Djokovic. And after 56 minutes, he could be like, one leg in the second round already if he breaks here. But Kovacevic with some pretty good defense. He is back in the point and great shot. Definitely more natural there to go for the inside out forehand, but he goes inside in and Djokovic doesn't even make a step towards that direction. Great movement, great defense. Yeah, just a very good point from the American. Probably his best one of the match so far. Disappointed not to get the break here, Djokovic, but maybe he will do it on the next point. Oh, another one of these little accidental short returns from Djokovic, but this time Kovacevic handles it a bit better, plays a drop shot, and then a drive volley off the forehand. I guess it wasn't a real drop shot from Kovacevic. It was also one of these like short slices that are almost drop shotty, and Djokovic had to. He couldn't really play the ball. He just had to push it back over the net, and that gave Kovacevic a lot of time and opportunity. Oh, that's a stunning shot from Djokovic, but Kovacevic gets back into the point, and he actually wins this game. There was a really good angle from Djokovic on that cross-court forehand counter, but he didn't end up capitalizing on it. In a way, also because Kovacevic's forehand slice was pretty good. Like he got it back with interest. 18 minutes in that second set, 2-1 up Djokovic, still alive Kovacevic, although of course he is a break behind. And Benoit Paire lost to Cameron Norrie. I guess maybe a bit of a disappointment for the French fans, but also for all the people who probably love watching Benoit Paire and his antics and his crazy shots and the just the magic that he comes up with. But Nori will play Luca Pui in the second round, and I actually think this will be really, really tight as well. Nori clearly isn't in any amazing form, and I think if Pui keeps holding up physically, which I have no idea if he will, but the level that he has been showing since the qualifying, beating Mahac, Tseng, Rodionov, and Rodionov again, I think it's really good enough to battle Nori there. Schwartzman beats Zapata Miralles in the end, 6-4. So he comes back from 2 sets to love down. Who comes back from 2 sets to love down as well? Juan Pablo Varillas. And Roberto Bautista Agut looks like he just has that match against Yiping Wu under control by now. Fognini 2 sets to love up on Auger Aliassime as well. As we said, he had some definite winning chances there, and it looks like he will probably win this since he's 2 sets to love up. Wawrinka up a set and a break on Ramos Vignolas. He definitely seems like the stronger player right now, so that would be a nice opportunity for him as well. And Vondroushova has broken Parks, so probably no upset incoming there. When it comes to like the early matches on the women's side that had already finished, I think like maybe the only real result that has been exciting was Stevens beating Pliskova, right? 6-love, 6-4. Very comfortable in a match that perhaps shouldn't be happening in the first round of Roland Garros. Pliskova is 16th in the rankings. Stevens is 30th after her semi-final points from Rabat came in. Pavlyuchenkova thrashed Linda Fruhvirtova, but that's like something that has been happening a lot to the Czech, who I think is not ready for two-level play at all. Her sister looks like a much more exciting prospect, even if she has her issues so far yet, and probably doesn't really stand up to like the other 16-year-old superstar that we're seeing now in Andreeva. Osorio survived. She eventually got in finally as the sixth lucky loser. She tried to make it hard for herself against Bogdan. She was 5-2 up with a double break and missed too much points at 5-4 before eventually clinching at 7-5. That was a very fun match as well. Pera eliminated Kontaveit, but is that a surprise? I don't think so. On clay, of course, the American is quite a force with that extreme lefty topspin forehand. And yeah, Kaya Kanepi did not upset a seed today, which I suppose is a shock in its own right. That Kaya Kanepi this time couldn't make the upset on a Grand Slam court. Usually it actually happens. This is one of the unpredictable things that actually becomes predictable with some time, but not today. She did not beat Madison Keys, and well, this year hasn't really been great for Kanepi. So I think she might be getting to the end of her career slowly. Well, not that slowly even, right? She will be 38, I think, in a couple of weeks. So definitely quite unusual for, especially on the women's side, for someone to be so competitive, be a main tour player at 38. We haven't really seen it much, right? I mean, of course, Serena and of course Venus, but these are freaks of nature, I think. And Djokovic is on to another safe hold, it seems. That slice return from Kovacevic was pretty interesting, but will it allow him to win the point? Maybe, but not. Djokovic was just another very good, very well executed topspin forehand down the line with a lot of height on it. He gets the slice from Kovacevic, goes for a backhand drop shot, which frankly wasn't perfect, but the American just plays it back exactly where Djokovic was standing. Not sure what the idea was there. Maybe he was hoping that Djokovic would be waiting for like a stretching volley cross court, but it certainly was not the right idea in the end from Kovacevic, who will now have to serve again, 1-3 down. Basically serve to stay in this set, you could say. Maybe some would even say the match. I would probably be one of these people. Nice backhand there from Kovacevic, +1 after the serve. Theoretically easy ball, but it's not that easy to do it off the one-hander, I think. The technique can be a little clunky for a lot of players, but Kovacevic did execute this very well.
Damien.
Oh, let me grab my earphones then, if Jack is here. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
How are we doing?
Fine. Just checking out if I missed something with the comments, but probably not much. Yeah. What is the purpose of the moonball returns by Novak as opposed to his normal drive return? I think honestly he was kind of struggling with the Kovacevic kicker at first, and this just allowed him to very easily reset the points. Like there's not that much that Kovacevic can do with this ball if it has good depth on it. So I think it worked well so far. Don't not really.
What,
Uh-huh.
what have I missed, Damien? This is me just tuning into the French for the day.
In terms of French for the day, you actually, like, I can tell you a few things that you've missed. In terms of Djokovic, Kovacevic, maybe not so much. So, I mean, Per pushing Nori, right? That was like the big thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't make it in the end, but Benoit Per delivers in these sort of matches. There's been two comebacks from 2 sets to lose down already. Varias Shang and Schwartzman Zapata Miralles, where I think Zapata Miralles was not really holding up that well. Of course, out of the Brits, Jack Draper retired again.
Unfortunately, not that surprising.
Yeah, he was, but I mean, in Lyon he was looking fine. 3 matches and he was looking fine, and here he was already serving underarm at like,
Really?
um, yeah, like eighth game or something like that. He started serving underarm. Yeah,
Is it an ab
so
injury? Maybe I can't remember now.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
what he
something like
recently
that.
had. I mean, he had so many of them that it's kind of hard to keep count.
Yeah, that's fair.
And of course, Fonini is leading 2-0 up and a break up as well in the third against Australia team. So
Yes, yeah, I saw that. Unfortunately, do you know? Oh, a break now as well. Jesus. Yeah, a lot of people were predicting that. I kind of thought Felix would still come through in five. There's still a chance that happens, but it looks like Fanini he's so up for the task, isn't he? When he plays these players, you know, he kind of relishes it. Quite keen to get a top 10 scalp. So it's not surprising that he's doing as well as he is. And Stan as well. Stan the man up a break and a set against Ramos Vinolas.
yeah, I guess that's kind of expected though.
Yeah,
And on the women's side, there's nothing really. I think that has happened.
I know Fruhvirtova maybe hasn't proven herself on clay yet, but I was impressed by the fact Pavlyuchenkova was 1-2-2 there. That
I
maybe,
think Fruhvirtova is just so far away from main tour level that
yeah,
it's
fair.
like not. Yeah. I don't
But,
know if maybe she can make it back, but right now I think she just kind of needs a bucket of cold water and falling down a little bit maybe, and yeah, just starting to try to improve some parts of her game which are clearly not ready for this,
yeah,
especially the serve, of course,
yes, but
which
that comes
has
with
been such an
time.
issue. Um, Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, I don't know. If you have a poor serve and at the same time you're making 10 double faults, that's not a great call, of course.
Good point. Good point.
Anyway, yeah, and in Djokovic Kovacevic, you really haven't missed much. Definitely, like Djokovic is like the aggressor here. He's just on serve. He's just been dominating every single game he's played. Probably lost like 5 or 6 points for now. In the rallies, whenever he actually can force Kovacevic to slice his backhand, then there's like the point is over. Djokovic is just gonna maybe in two, maybe in three shots, but he's gonna win it anyway. So yeah, it's not looking that bright. I think Kovacevic is, kind of. I mean, he is aware of this. Like he is trying to hit more topspin backhands than maybe he would usually do on a faster court. But yeah, it's just so hard for him to play against Djokovic here. Not a great environment, of course, for his Grand Slam debut against his idol, against on a court on a surface that he has never won a match on yet. Red
Oh,
clay, I
really?
mean. Yeah,
Wow,
he
okay.
played four times this year, even including Houston. So that's synthetic red clay court. He also played in 2022 a couple of matches on altitude clay in Colombia. Also didn't win. And in 2021, he came to Europe for just one challenger qualifying in Verona and also didn't win. So he's 0-7 on red clay in his career, and it's not looking like he's going to be 1-7 today.
Wow. That's surprising. Well, do you know, the one-hander looks pretty heavy. It looks like he's got a nice kicker. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually finds ways to win matches on this surface.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Yeah.
I was more wondering if Novak's forehand is looking like something potent, but from what I've seen, he's not really had to use it that much. It's not really been much of an issue.
There's been plenty of forehand winners, but I think most of them were on like short balls.
Yeah.
I think generally everything is looking fine. It's just not a match that is going to tell us a lot.
Of course, who would be next? Can you remember?
Fucsovics.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be telling, I think. Fucsovics.
Yes.
It's always been a difficult matchup for Novak.
Precisely. And just, the dynamics are so much different in terms of baseline play than against Kovacevic. So, yeah, I think Fucsovics will tell us quite a lot. And then probably Davidovich Fokina or Fils would tell us a lot. And otherwise, yeah, I think today it just doesn't really matter what Djokovic is doing that much. Like his advantage in this matchup is just way too huge.
Yeah, fair. I kind of thought maybe, he might hit the ground a little cold, but he looks absolutely fine from what I've seen so far. I actually have Novak Damian as my title pick, which for a lot of people is maybe a little surprising. I don't think people are really rating Novak this year, given his run into the French and how it's like the only year at the French Open for ages where he hasn't had a decent clay court tournament prior to entering the tournament. But I just figure if it's a Grand Slam, he will prepare himself however he can. He looks like he's hit the ground running. I have faith in Novak, basically, Damon. What's your thoughts for the title pick?
Interesting comment about this, actually. I will of course get back to what you said just in a second. But Novak would have wanted a soft opponent first. But is there such a thing as having too soft an opponent? If he's playing Fucsovic in the second round, I don't think so. But if he was playing, let's say, Davidovich Fokina, I actually think that maybe this match would have been a bit too soft. But we'll see. When it comes to like my tournament winner, I still like have to go with Alcaraz. I think if they were supposed to play today, I would be saying that Alcaraz like cannot really lose. I think,
Absolutely.
But of course, a week from now, I don't know what will happen. So a more realistic answer I can probably give you after like the fourth round or the quarters. Then maybe I will change my mind. But for now, I kinda had to stick with Alcaraz. But I am fully aware of the fact that in a week I might be talking something completely different. It's just a matter of what we're gonna see from Djokovic, even more so than from Alcaraz, I would say. Today I just don't think we're gonna get much intel.
Absolutely.
Another moonball return, by the way.
So what Ghost said before, I'll comment on that. He said, clay makes you hit moonballs. It's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the surface. I love the sort of variation. It's not like every ball's a moonball, right? The fact that kind of shot works, something a bit more defensive, followed by something aggressive. It's just a very versatile point construction. I can't say it. Point construction centric even surface. Just the fact that you have so many more choices on it, I think makes it a fascinating surface. It's my favorite surface, Damien. I think it's the most enjoyable to watch for me.
I don't know if it's the most enjoyable for me. I definitely like variety. There are certain things on clay that are more exciting, like point construction in general. The long rallies, if someone is in, if someone loves that, then definitely clay is going to be for him in terms of watching. Like the only thing that's pissing me off about moonballs is when I'm playing someone in tennis, and I feel that I am like clearly better than them, but they're just playing moonballs all the time, and I cannot handle it.
That's fair enough. If you can't handle the moonball, then you deserve to get beat. That's just how it is. I think you got to respect the moonball and say, too good. You've played a great.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about it or something. In fact, there is like one specific match that I have in mind right now, and after that I talked to this opponent, and he said that we played like anti-tennis, basically, because that's what he played. I knew that I am better just strictly at a technical level, that I can do more with the forehand than he can, but I just cannot hit through it. I hope that if we played right now, I would actually be a lot better, that I would actually beat him, because my weapons have gotten a lot bigger from that since that time, I feel like. But I'm not sure really. Like if we were to play on clay, and that was also what was frustrating me, that we were playing that it was a semi-final actually in a tournament, and we were playing that, and I just knew that if we got to like a very fast indoor court, I would kill the guy. But we're playing on clay, and he just keeps moonballing. It was also my fifth match of the day, I think, and I was already kind of tired, and just both mentally and physically. And I at some point my game just completely broke down. I think we had a tiebreak in the first set, and I just completely broke down in the second. And that was just because I couldn't handle the moonball, and that's really pissing me off when I'm playing someone like that on clay. And in general, I just feel much stronger on faster surfaces. So in terms of playing, I am definitely pissed by moonballing. In terms of watching, I don't really care.
Yeah, fair enough. And you're kind of in the same boat as Ghost here, Damien, and that anti-tennis frustrations are what leads you to not like clay. I think it is so telling of tennis that you can play some of the crappiest shots and still win. I think that's what makes clay so beautiful, because of this anti-tennis factor. If you can't play consistent, aggressive, heavy shots, you're going to get beat by really bad players. That's just what happens. And even at the better levels, the same thing can happen. It's true to tennis for me. I like it.
Yeah, I actually am on the other side of the fence. I
Mhm.
believe that tennis was meant to be played aggressively. I
Yeah,
believe that it was meant that you need to look for a way to win a point rather
mhm.
than actually, just throw some stuff around and just see what happens. So, but that again, that's like a preference choice. So I'm
The,
definitely not saying that Clay should be just thrown out of the tour. No, definitely not.
the other side to that, though, Damien, is you could argue a huge hitter on a fast surface goes serve, boom, big forehand, boom, and there's 0 point construction, and they're not
Yeah.
looking for ways to strategize and tactician. So yeah, for me, that's why it's truer. You can get players that play angled shots and stuff, and beautifully into the open spaces. That's all clay court all over. I love it.
Yeah, and that's why I love other surfaces. I mean, especially playing. Watching, I just like them all, but especially playing, I just really enjoy short attacking combinations. That's the satisfying thing to me. Of course, long rallies are also satisfying, but like that's what I think tennis was meant to be. But I don't really care about it that much. Like I'm
Yeah,
fine
fair,
with everything.
fair.
There was something here. Yeah, if Novak beats Vucevic and ADF without dropping a set, I will be more on board with Novak being on par with Alcaraz for the title. I mean, for me, it's not really about whether he drops sets. Like, I'm fine with him dropping a set to either, really. Just maybe a question of more so like how it looks. If the match against Vucevic is, how it's usually been, so pretty competitive, and then he just rides away with it. And the same, I guess, against ADF. Like if there's some competitiveness, if they split the first two sets, I don't think it really means that he cannot beat Alcaraz. Just yeah, a matter of whether his level increases sharply, maybe in some of these matches.
It could be the opposite in a way. Again, we're talking about Novak warming up, having to find another gear. If he has to tap into that, that might stand in his stead rather than feeling pretty cold. It's not like he's going to be
Yeah.
cold all the way up to the semi-finals, in fairness to Matthew's point, but you still want to see him kick it up a gear at some point early on in the tournament. I think Fusovic or ADF will bring that out of him for sure.
ADF would be the perfect opponent, I think, because then it
Yeah,
looks likely that he's gonna play like Hurkacz in the fourth round. That's not really gonna be on clay, I think. A match really, and
yeah,
then
not at
in
all.
the quarters he also has a very nice section. So I think maybe even ADF is like his biggest threat before the semis.
It's catching of
Um,
Rublev in the quarters, is that right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe
So
Kachanov.
you could definitely argue that ADF might even be the best, like the biggest threat to him. So I think this is probably the match where I would like to see some adversity, and I would like to see him, stepping up to the challenge.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that on the pod the other day, Damien. The match he had against ADF in Monte Carlo, it could be a very similar issue in that Djokovic failed to finish off points using the same forehand offense that brought him to the title a couple of years ago. That's why he lost that match. And if his forehand's not firing, it could be exactly the same issue. It could play it very similarly. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a very telling
today,
match.
of course, his forehand has been like firing a lot of winners. In the first set, he, I think, outwinnered Kovacevic 16-4. This set,
As,
they've been like on par.
yeah,
But, it's just a very similar, like it's a very different sort of ball that he's getting. The depth isn't really as, what Davidovich Fokina can bring. And of course, Kovacevic is nowhere near as good on the defense as the Spaniard is. So, yeah, Djokovic Davidovich Fokina does not have to be an easy match at all, and if it's not an easy match, it doesn't mean anything. I think
yeah.
it could mean something if we like look at it actually, but I think the scoreline itself will not be that important there. But yeah, anyway, I think Djokovic has only lost 7 points on serve so far. So
Okay. I'm failing to see a French Open where Djokovic doesn't tap into a higher gear at some point. I don't think he's had. I can think of the last 3 years, beaten by Rafa twice and then won the title. That's right, isn't it? He, pretty much every tournament, even last year when he lost in the quarters to Rafa, I thought he played a pretty good level. I mean, he was close to taking that to a fifth set, obviously. He's not had a tournament at the French Open in recent times that I've been unimpressed with. Maybe the Cecchinato loss, but even then he makes it to the semis, or the quarters, was it? Yeah, I my point is, I think he'll build it up at some point, even against a good player like ADF.
Ghosty is commenting about Bautista good dismantling Ibing Wu. I read some stuff on Twitter like about Ibing Wu massively improving his clay game based on
Mm,
the Geneva performance, but I always
mm.
just said it's Geneva. It
It's
has
not
nothing
really
to do with
clay.
Roland
Yeah.
Garros. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Roland Garros.
Exactly.
But
I was high on Jari for just a split second before fans rightly pointed out. Well, I mean that's what altitude does to a serve that you're bombing down from like
he
6 foot.
still has a draw
Six.
good enough where you could really
Yeah,
imagine him
yeah.
going deep. But of
He's still,
course, yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, he's still playing well from the baseline, and there's
Yeah.
chances. Struff probably in the third round's a bit the
It's
hardest to
it's a
get
really
to the
good draw.
fourth.
I mean, everyone can get to the four from there, right? Like it's Jari, Struff, Striker, Medjedovic in that same section. I think
I
like
think
all of
Paul
them
as
can.
well. Yeah,
Yeah, Paul. I just skipped him, frankly.
yeah.
I knew he was there because he's playing Striker, but I actually think Striker has a nice chance for the upset. But yeah, I mean, every single guy there, I think, can really get to the
Yeah.
forefront, and it's super close. It could be Jari, but that's not gonna be because he won the title in Geneva.
Yes.
And this question we should talk about on this. I
Slices.
just put it up on the screen. Yeah.
Slice is now eaten up by opponents on clay. Is that a modern thing with string technology, or has it been the case even in the 80s and 90s? It's got to be a lot to do with string technology. You can get that ball up and down so much quicker than you used to be able to. It's a lot to do with that, definitely. If you've still got a good enough slice, it's not like it's ineffective on clay, but yeah, it's definitely a harder shot to pull off given the string technology. Is that your take on it as well, Damien? Or
Yeah, it seems like so. With the wooden rackets, especially, it was just so hard to get any sort of consistent power and depth on the ball. And right now, it's just so much different. Of course, in the past, I guess players who serve and volleyed were always less effective on clay anyway. But with slice, I don't think it was really the case. So yeah, probably has to be technology and yeah, just the advancement of tennis in that, and yeah, how much quicker, how much faster, how much stronger the players are right now.
yeah,
And yeah, on clay is just less effective. It sits up, of course. It's not the worst shot in the world. I mean,
I don't think
but
so.
if you're someone like, I don't know, Tatiana Maria, you're probably not gonna be that good on clay, right? She actually has a
Yeah.
lot of clay titles, but it's mostly like fast clay as well. She won Bogota twice in a row, right? But
Again, that's played at
just
like
now,
3,000 meters or something, is it not though?
yeah, Bogota is like a lot, 2,500 or something like that. So
Yeah, slice is good at altitude as well. It's affected differently by altitude than topspin is. I don't know if you've seen that article before, Damien. I'm not
I
much of
don't
a
I don't
physics
think I
nerd.
have.
It's very interesting. So the ball tends to come down quicker using slice than topspin would. There's not as much air for topspin to grip onto, but it's almost the opposite effect with slice because the less air there is, the less it's hard to explain. You need to see the article. But slice is good at altitude anyway, is the point. It works very well because it skips through. And obviously their topspin's less effective to get it up and down, so it's quite a good shot.
Does
Um,
cheap and charge still exist? Asks Sean. I mean, it exists as a surprise tactic. It's definitely only like it only works when it's a surprise. When the opponent is ready, it's not gonna be great. When you're gonna do it on every single point, it's just not gonna work. But when you can actually surprise the player, I think it's good.
yeah. Oh, hi, Jane. Jane says hi, by the way. To add to the slice, one quite good example I would come up with is Dimitrov, whose French Open record I was looking at yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He's won against one top 40 player at this event, and he's lost to 10 top 40 players. That even by, well, yeah, especially by Dimitrov standards. I think I hold him in fairly high regard. That's a very, very bad record. And I mean, a lot of that's to do with how often he relies on that slice. If he can't rely as much on that shot, then he gets eaten alive by players who are willing to be aggressive from the back of the court. Maybe he's quite a good case study for that. Damien, I don't know, but I still am a believer that slice is good in the right places.
Absolutely. There's also an interesting question about from Ghosty about Federer's slice being so effective in general. Why was it that like that placement? I think was so pretty. I mean, a lot of stuff, I guess. Also, the fact that you never really know whether he's gonna go for a short slice, a longer slice, a drop shot,
Yes, yeah,
like
yeah. He was.
that was yeah, the factor of keeping the opponent guessing was definitely cool. Probably the short slice, like
Yes.
what we saw from him is definitely one of the key points. So luring the opponent forward, either into the net or just forward into the court, but on your own terms. And also, I think just the fact that it set him up for the forehand.
Yes.
He was just able to use it so effectively just to slice and then get a huge forehand. So, like Ash Barty, for example, like that's literally the same mechanism. And that's these two things working, probably the best slice in the history of the game and one of the best forehands in the history of the game. If that's a combination, then you're gonna be pretty deadly, I think.
I loved it, honestly. I absolutely loved it. And quite an interesting thing about that play is there's so many professional players in the world that are so comfortable moving side to side, but you move them
Hmm.
forward and backwards
Yeah.
as well. It's just not something that people do in their sleep nowadays. It's very difficult when you get drawn forward at all to know where to go, to get your feet set. It's a great, great play from Federer. The other reason I love it as well, actually, Ghost, is the chip return of Federer's is probably the best in the game for me. I don't think anybody played it better than him. So good at neutralizing it deep. There's very few players that could play that as well as him.
Yeah, I don't know, Favrinka maybe, or a couple of other maybe one-handed backhands that were pretty similar. But we see for so many of these one-handed backhand players, it's just such a weakness, right? And I guess you could say that at some points of his career, it was also a weakness, his backhand return, but that chip was really the skin saver there, and he was easily able to stay on top of the sport also because of that. Matthew says that he doesn't want to be harsh, but this is a very poor showing by Kovacevic. Such a low level he is showing. I don't know if I feel like that actually. Like this is exactly what Kovacevic is always playing like on clay. I think. I mean, it's not a it's not a big sample size, right? He's only played 7 matches. I would say I probably watched like 3 of them, but I think he is actually doing quite fine.
He's currently got 3 break points as well, by the way, just to break back in
Yeah.
this set. Djokovic saving the first one to go 15-40. He obviously heard you, Matthew.
Yeah, it just never was going to be a match where we get to know a lot, I think, about the Djokovic disposition. I wouldn't really say that Kovacevic is the worst player in the draw. Even on clay, there's probably like, Gibson, maybe someone like Olivieri, but I don't know if he would actually beat Olivieri's a grinder like this. But there's like a couple of players in the draw who are probably weaker than Kovacevic on red clay, but he's definitely just, one of the easiest draws you could get.
Yes,
And
Kipson like an American-French exchange thing, basically.
I mean, not yeah, basically, but they host this challenge, right? Where
Yes,
yeah, the USDA hosts this wildcard challenge, and he won it because he made a 3 good runs, pretty much. But 2 of them were on green clay, and 1 of them was on red clay, but in San Luis Potosi, so also 2,000 meters altitude. So
right.
yeah, like he was never going to win matches in this
Yeah,
event, but of course it's just enormous for him anyway. I think last year the prize money for round 1 of the French was 62,000 euros or something like this, which is basically whatever he has earned so far in his career so far. It's comparable. I'm not sure if it's this year, like if this year the round 1 prize money is similar, but like basically, for him financially, it's just amazing, and of course the opportunity as well. But I think he was the weakest player in the draw anyway.
yeah. Yeah, it's very impressive. I'm just very surprised to see the name. I had no idea what I was looking at. I was very surprised to see him there.
Yeah, usually the winners of the wildcard challenge would be like more impressive. It was Michael Moe in recent years, Jack Sock, Bien Fratangelo, amazing clay player as well. Sock, of course, with the top spin forehand too. Usually, like more high quality players would actually try for that wildcard. But this year, Steve Johnson, for example, didn't really give it a shot. He went to South Korea. Same with Denis Kudla. Sok just played 1 event, didn't even try for it. Kovacevic, I think, also just played Houston. A lot of these guys like Wolf, Giron, they were already in the top 100, so they weren't really eligible. And it ended up that the last 3 players, I think, who had the chance to win it were Mitchell Kruger, so I guess a bigger name than Gibson, and also
Still,
Tristan Boyer. probably an even less known name than Gibson. I mean, they played very well, but just like I guess maybe this is like a bit of a philosophical. Well, it's not a philosophical question, but whether green clay results should give you a wild card for the French. I guess if you're in the States, if it's an American challenge, that's how it has to be, right? But
It still just seems a bit silly, doesn't it? I don't really
yeah,
get
like
it.
Gibson or Boyer playing the Roland Garros main draw, it doesn't really change much. Neither was gonna win a match here. I think,
There's a
unless they
ton,
like drew
yeah.
whoever.
It's just it's annoying because there's a ton of players that probably should be taking the spot over him, but it is what it is, I guess.
We
Djokovic,
had
by the way, saved all 3
Mhm.
break points. He's now advantage up in this game.
Yeah, we had like Karatsev, Hanfman playing qualies, right? We had
Yeah.
guys like this who made big runs in Madrid and Rome. So
Hanfman almost didn't make the draw. Was he not like the
yeah,
last lucky loser picked? So, I mean,
he was fourth. Bagdis
fourth.
was the last lucky loser in the draw, and he is still waiting. Of
Right.
course, later on there are also guys who are just waiting in terms of the rankings, but I'm assuming that they won't get in. On the women's side, we've already had 6 lucky losers, right? And that's how
Yeah.
Osorio made it into the draw. So
I've got a few results in front of me, by the way, that might be a bit interesting. Ghost just saying there, Schneider takes the first set over Marino. I think I had Schneider down to win that match, to be fair. Bencic down a break to Avanesian. Avanesian, is that how you pronounce her name? That's quite a big deal, although Bencic's least favourite surface, probably clay, still coming back from injury.
it
There's
hasn't played since Charleston, yeah.
So there is a chance she's coming out a bit cold. My finalist pick, Damien, is up 6-4-5 love against Alicia Parks. I've
Ah,
got I've got
finalist pick. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's good.
I've got Vondrousova going all the way. I think she could be an absolute pain in the bum for Sabalenka in the quarterfinals. I think if there's anybody that's going to beat her, a play style like that on a sort of slow day could be the worst sort of matchup for her. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do like full draw bracket predictions or whatever. I do think that if Vondrousova is not losing to Ostapenko in the third round, then she easily makes the quarters. I think so.
Yeah.
I'm right behind you on this. I think. Yeah, I didn't really do any predictions on the women's side, so I'm not sure who I would actually have in the final. But certainly Vondrousova would be in my quarters.
Love to hear it. The final as a finalist pick, it's a little audacious, but I've got to get.
I mean, if she beats Sabalenka, and then who is really there in that
Yeah.
third quarter? Like, is there anyone that could really threaten her there? I have to look at the draw.
No, so Ghost is saying Zheng. I'm pretty sure Zheng would be a fourth round for Sabalenka rather
Yeah,
than
Zhang is a
Vondrousova.
forefront for Sabalenka. Like, of course, she can easily beat her too.
Yeah. If Zheng's
Um,
playing, Zheng's annoying me because I've been so big on Zheng for so long, and there's no massive result that says this person's the next generation of tennis. So it's quite hard to totally back her.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'd actually like looking at the draw. If Vondrousova would beat Sabalenka, she is very likely to make the final. Then there's like what Pegula, Osorio, Potapova, Muchova. Like that. That's probably the most dangerous players in the third quarter. So yeah,
Potapova's floating a wee bit. I think I've got her going quite far actually in my bracket in Tennis Live. Might even be semis. I'm
I
quite
would
big on her.
probably have her there. Yeah, I think I would have her in the quarters, maybe losing to Muchova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mukova. Forgot about Mukova. I don't know who I said she was going to go out to. Might as well check for fun, eh?
I mean, she played against Sakari in the first round, so maybe you had Sakari going on
No,
and
I
going
didn't.
through.
No,
Yeah.
I had Mukova going through for sure.
I think Mukova is like definitely going deep here. After beating Sakari, the draw is perfect. I think we might even see Mukova against Towson in the fourth round, which would be a pretty exciting matchup of underachievers who were just kind of stopped by the injuries.
I want Tyson to do so well, but I just don't see it happening consistently on this surface. Her shots shouldn't be as good on clay, but maybe she's changed a few things. She's had a long time to work on stuff. So, I've got Potapova even beating Mukova in the quarters and making the semis.
Okay,
So there you go.
So I would probably have it the other way around, but probably the same quarter, to be honest with you. Is Zheng playing Vondrousova? No, it's Zheng Sabalenka round 4, and then potentially she can play her in the quarters.
Definitely, yeah.
And yeah, I also get your frustration about Kim Zheng, but every single slam, every single big event, I want to say that she's gonna go deep. This has to be her breakthrough event. It will happen eventually. Not gonna lie, that very easy win against Jidansek kinda gives me some confidence in regards to that.
How one
And we've
sided
got
was it? I didn't see that actually. What?
6-3-6-1 maybe Jidansek.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. There's a breakpoint for Djokovic for free love in the second set, and basically what it would end the match. I think we can easily say that. I think I was already saying that the match is over. It was like the fourth game, but
Yeah,
that's the reality, I guess. And Djokovic just misses that return. Yeah, I think he sends it long, so not yet.
he's missing quite a lot, isn't he? I see why. I think it was Matthew was dissing Kovacevic earlier. He isn't getting any depth on the ball whatsoever. It just he keeps missing every time he tries to go that deep in the court. It's just not going to do the job at all. We're probably not going to learn much more from this match.
Yeah,
Who knows? We'll see, but unlikely.
I mean, he's looking fine physically. That's what we know. But then again, he wasn't really pushed. Also, in that sense, it's gonna
Yeah.
be probably under 2 hours and not really that physical. Lots of aggression from Djokovic's side. So
Felix, yeah, good point, Jane. Felix Auger-Aliassime currently down 2 sets to Fanini and a break 5-3. So Fanini, at the very least, is going to come out to serve for the match if Auger-Aliassime can hold here.
yeah, I mean, I think he clearly needed like more warm up in Lyon, but perhaps he wasn't able to give it to himself because of another health issue that he had, I think, with his shoulder in Lyon. And
Yeah,
now someone also said that he was grabbing his hamstring. So yeah, I read on Twitter, like, there was one guy who said that Felix did it best in the week before Roland Garros because he went to Lyon and like withdrew after getting what he wanted. But I don't think he actually got what he wanted. I don't think 20 games against Pablo Llamas Ruiz was what Auger Aliassime needed before the French. But obviously right now seeing this, he was probably also not 100% fit.
yeah, almost certainly. 30 all at the moment for Auger-Aliassime. And a break point here, by the way, for Djokovic to, well, add insult to injury. He's pretty much already won the match. He has missed his return. So a small chance for Kovacevic.
Yeah, a very key match for me today is Popyrin Karatsev because I have Karatsev making the
Yeah.
quarters.
Let me look at that because I think I went quite big on Popyrin, who I said was going to beat Karatsev actually in the first rounds.
I don't really get why people think that.
Why
I
people don't
really don't.
why people are big on Popyrin or why he'll beat
Yeah,
Karatsev.
why
I
are they
love
picking Popyrin?
I think Popyrin has got a very good chance of doing well in the near future. He's come so close in a bunch of matches. There's just been a bunch of close results, close losses. I like close losses, Damien, because it says there's going to be an event where that serve, that forehand, light up, and it gets all the way to, let me see where I've got him. I've probably got them in like the
Yeah,
third
I
round
mean,
or
I still
something.
don't see it on slow clay. But I get what
Yeah.
you are saying about close losses. I remember, for example, in late 2021, when Quentin Alice was like still ranked, I don't know, 200 or something, and he just kept losing from match points up. And
Yeah.
he over like 3 months or something, he lost 4 or 5 matches from match points up. And I remember just thinking that it's impossible that this will continue. It just has to at some point resolve in it just has to result in some amazing runs for him. And
Yeah.
like 5 months later, he was in the top 100. So I get what you mean about close losses. Definitely, they
That's a
are
good
better
example.
than easy losses. Yeah, I
Yes.
remember talking about this just every week basically because he just kept losing these matches from much points up,
By law of
and
averages,
eventually, of
exactly.
course.
I think
Yeah.
I've got Popyrin losing to Zverev in the third round, Damien, so I've not went that big on him.
Yeah, I went with, of course, Karatsev beating Tiafoe, Zverev, and Sinner in a row. This is one of my two huge qualifier picks. The other is Sebastian Ofner, who I think will beat Korda, then will beat. Well, I wanted him to beat Auger Aliassime, but it looks like he will have to beat Fognini or Kubler, which makes it even better for Ofner. Actually, I think he's going to be the favorite against Fognini or Kubler, I believe. And yeah, just make the fourth round out of there, and probably also trouble Tsitsipas a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's hard to back Karatsev on a slow surface. Like Madrid was at least a little quick, right, to just go 1-2
Yeah.
points over. Karatse's rally temperament is not the greatest, despite the wins he's had recently. I think a player like Zverev would still beat him, given the matchup. And even Sinner's a little bit of a question mark. There's a chance he goes really deep. There's a chance he loses quite early. Depends how he's playing. But I think either of those players, particularly Zverev, who's actually like obviously very good on defense, could be an issue.
I get what you mean, yeah. But at the same time, like I'm definitely not a fan of picking Aslan Karatsev to go deep in general, because
Yeah.
you just never really know what's gonna happen. That for sure. But when I'm looking at his draw and I'm seeing something like I don't think Popyrin is something that he has to win. I am kind of afraid of this match. But on the contrary, like if he's playing Tiafoe, Zverev, Sinner in a row, like only huge matches, I actually like his chances more than if he was playing, some mediocre players.
Yes.
I think he really gets up for these, and
Yeah, I know what you mean.
if he just can like rattle off a few of these wins in a row, I think it gets even more probable. But yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of picking Karatsev to go deep, and I am fully aware of the fact that Popyrin is not 100% win for him. He is 2-1
Yeah.
up. So I am hoping that he's going to drive it towards the end. And then if he loses to Tiafoe, I'm just going to say, okay, maybe I was a little too optimistic. But if he would lose to Popyrin, I would just feel really disappointed that like we didn't even get the chance to check him out against all of these huge seats.
I think he's probably at least 50-50 in the TFO match, if not the favourite, just based on
Yeah.
nerves. I fancy his chances there, Damien, for sure, if he gets through this. By the way, OG Aleksandar did lose in the end. 6-4, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4, 6-3 loss to Fabio Fognini. That is that's bad. That is damning. I'm sorry. I know maybe there's been injury issues, but it's the cherry on top of a not great season. There's not really been much to rave about for OG Aliassime. It's getting to the point where I'm a little like, oh god, he needs a big result kind of soon. What is the last thing he did of any note? Because there was 2021 where he was an amazing slam player, and quarters, semis, quarters, like in a row, and all of a sudden this year the best he's done is a quarterfinal in Indian Wells. That's about it, really.
Yeah, fourth round at the Australian Open, he was just really wildly exposed by Lehechka there, which was really weird to see, I suppose. But at the same time, kind of makes sense with Lehechka just having a more complete game. Yeah, that moment when he was doing so well in every single slam, that was certainly like the peak of Auger-Aliassime for me in terms of actually thinking he could win one. I know last year, of course, was like the huge moment for him, but there's no fast indoor hardcourt slams. There's no fast indoor hardcourt tournaments, even like on the bigger than a 500, realistically. So yeah, it's. I mean, we know that he hasn't been healthy either, and of course, Paris has always been tough for him. Even when he made the fourth round last year, he was 2 sets to love down against Varillas. In recent years, he also lost to Seppi and Nishioka in the opening rounds, right? So
yeah. I get what Ghost and Matthew are saying. He had a great end of last year, but I mean, it's been 5 months to the start of the season, and there's nothing that we would have expected from Felix of last year. That's all I'm saying. So maybe just
he was like a
bit.
top 5 player at the end of 2022, but in
Yeah.
the specific conditions that the tour was playing at the time. Yeah. Everyone, I guess, was expecting him to do well at the Australian Open. And I think ever since I watched that match against Lehechka, I just started feeling really pessimistic in regards to Auger-Aliassime. I know you maybe shouldn't do that, after just one match, but it's not just one match. It's
a big match.
It's years of. It's basically years of Auger-Aliassime not really looking maybe like a contender, and still having a lot of just very simple liabilities, especially on the backhand side.
Even his forehand can look pretty loose sometimes. For all the the strength it's meant to be, there's occasions where it's just nowhere near as reliable as a Tsitsipas forehand, for example. So it's quite easy to feel a bit nervy about him when he's in a rally. When the serve is that's probably his bread and butter. That's his strength, I would say. So he needs to do better from the ground, for sure. That's 40-30, by the way. Djokovic coming through an extended rally. Looks like it's getting kind of windy out there, which will probably stop us from seeing any proper Djokovic points, whatever you want to call it. Points where he's dominating the baseline in the same way he will be against some of his peers in future matches. This could turn into quite a scrap for the rest of the match, maybe. Might even be a leveler, Damien.
Yeah, wind is always a great equalizer, I think. Definitely, just if both guys are just forced to maybe grind a bit more, and you don't really see the disparity in terms of technique and like just sheer level that much. But yeah, here I'm not sure if it actually changes that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, because I like Kovacevic so much as a player, and he definitely belongs in the top 100, where he's still not in there, but I think he will get there over the summer. But yeah, on clay it's just been so rough. But at the same time, yeah, I don't feel like this has to last. But yeah, at least this year he's still basically one of the weakest players in the main draw at Roland Garros, and Djokovic drawing him just had to result in a lopsided match.
Yeah, it was a pretty lucky first round, all things considered. Could have been a lot worse. A lot
Yeah,
of very quality unseeded players even like Baez that could have made it quite physical. Yeah,
yeah, Baez
fairly
is
lucky.
probably one of the toughest openers I think you could get in this event for sure. Just trying to like scroll through the draw and think about it, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone is actually tougher than Baez from that standpoint,
I
but
think Ugo Humbert is still unseeded. He could have been a pretty
uh,
tough first round.
okay. Thiago Seybothwield.
Yeah. How do you fancy that one going?
If he played Djokovic, I would be more excited about that match than against Medvedev, I think.
Yeah, of course. What, you think Medvedev's got a better chance of staving off the Thiago Seyboth
Yeah,
threat? Yeah, I
yeah.
think so too.
I think just he's just gonna be too good of a defender, and it's a shame. If Seybothwield was playing Ruud, which was also a possibility, of course,
Yeah,
the qualifier could have played Ruud, I would be screaming that it's gonna be an upset. But yeah, I just don't think he can do it to Medvedev.
yeah. I think a lot of players get surprised when their first serve doesn't work as an offensive weapon anymore against Medvedev. That'll probably do Seybothwield's head in a little bit for all his explosive power. I just think it'll be a little too
Yeah.
much.
And if Djokovic played Karatsev in the opening round, that also would have
Yes,
been
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
huge. But
yeah.
especially with their history. But um,
Of course, they've played twice, Australia and Belgrade. Is that right, or has there been more than that?
that's the only two that come to mind for me. But maybe
Yeah,
there was another one. I'm not actually sure. Wasn't there like another one maybe relatively recently, which was easy for Novak?
yeah. That
Or
might have just went under the radar, possibly, if it did happen.
yeah, precisely Rome last year. Yes.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I knew that there was like one more match that happened when Karatsev was already way off his peak, and
yeah,
that it was just not memorable, and that's why we're not remembering. But other than that, of course, what you mentioned, Australian Open, and then the Belgrade semi. Oh, semi at the Australian Open as well.
Sean Power saying, "Is there a serve that can work well against Medvedev's return position?" We've seen
Underarm.
players underarm. Yeah, of course, that's true. As a surprise tactic, it wouldn't work all the time. We've seen Novak use the slider really well on top of the serve and volley. Like if you use the two in conjunction, just to draw Medvedev off the court and come in to finish it off with a short volley. But that's such a difficult game plan to carry out for some players. I think some players' wide serves could be a little better, but it's mainly about being able to finish at the net, and not many players can. So you have to have those two shots in conjunction, I would say, Sean. I don't think there's a serve in isolation that works against Medvedev that well.
When Alcaraz was playing him in the Indian Wells final, he was just going wide 90% of the time and following it up to the net, and
Yeah,
it just worked like a charm every single time.
yeah.
I don't think Alcaraz really has like a particularly effective serve out wide either.
No,
He was definitely like quite comfortable closing it at the net. He had good timing onto these volleys, and I think maybe if other players try to adapt this sort of strategy, then they're not going to look as clean.
yeah.
Which in a way maybe happened to someone like Sinner at Miami, although he wasn't serving volleying that much, but he was trying to like drop shot and etc. And he lost every single point after he played the drop shot. So it helps if this is a very natural part of your game anyway. But I think yeah, serve and volleying, hitting out wide is definitely a strat. I was actually thinking that maybe Hanfman could defeat him in Rome, right? Well, Rome or
Mm-hmm.
Madrid was it? Uh,
Rome.
Rome or Madrid? I keep mixing them up. Oh yeah, Rome, because he has that huge kicker out wide that he just uses all the time, and actually Medvedev handled it kind of well. But of course, it's gonna make him hit like some very low margin returns either down the line or cross court, and I think it's still worth it to approach after your serve to Medvedev's, just pulling him wide and trying to serve and volley. It is a strat.
Definitely. I think Hanfman wasn't in enough, to be fair, and his first serve did get neutralised. And once the first serve neutralised, it's basically like you're playing a second serve, essentially. There's not much difference when Medvedev's on the other side of the net. So it became very difficult for Hanfman to ever feel like he could finish the point off in two shots, essentially. Not much else happening in this match, bar Novak getting a little bit of dirt in his contacts. Apart from that, he seems to be dealing with the wind fairly well. He's kind of rolling through service games at the moment. Love 15 down, to be fair, at the moment. But it's turned kind of scrappy. It doesn't look like there's many offensive shots getting played, a lot of unforced errors getting played. Could be better. Sinner's drop shots are stinkier than FA's undies after the Fanini match. Sinner's drop shots could be better. I've not seen. Is that what you mean? Not stinky in a good way, stinky in a bad way, maybe goes. Because I'm not a big fan of the Sinner drop shot at this stage in his career.
No, I'm pretty sure that Ghosty meant that they are terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I thought so. There's been times where he plays them at the right times, but the execution compared to Alcaraz is night and day. So.
Yeah, I mean they don't always look as poor as in the Miami final, but definitely in that match he just looked like he was playing them for the very first time, or he just never played a drop shot before in his life and then suddenly decided to do it. But yeah, it's not very natural for him, of course. But you can also play without a.
Oh, Damon's frozen there. I think he's saying you can also play without a drop. You cut out there for a second, Damon. I assume you said you. Oh, you're muted now, Damien, I think.
I am muted? No.
Oh, no, you're back. You're back.
No, I was. Yeah, I saw that it cut me out. I was just saying that Iga Świątek hasn't played a drop shot in like 2 years, and it's fine. But she has hit one recently, I think. But basically hasn't played one in like a season and a half, and she's doing.
She has hit one recently. Like, you're literally right. I know it's like the double hander, the backhander is just. There's not even an effort to disguise to drop shot. I don't think she's ever even bothered on that side. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah, they actually like the coach specifically told her not to drop shot. So I think maybe like in the future it will become a bit of a more it might become in the future a good idea to start introducing some variety. But I guess for now they just decided that they don't need it. That it would actually miss, like that it would actually mess with her head or something, mess with her tactical game plan. Djokovic, by the way, looks kind of like something has messed with his head so far. 30-all, and he just plays a forehand drop shot damn right in the middle of the net. That's a pretty rare shot as well for Djokovic, who kind of only has that one backhand down the line drop shot.
Yeah, he looked a little off balance there, moving to the side. You're right. He normally uses it as a backhand follow-up rather than the same way as Alcaraz off the forehand. So that's pretty surprising. By the way, on the women's side, Bencic at the moment down a set to Avanesian, 6-3 in the first. She'll need to find her form pretty soon if she hopes to survive that. And Osorio Serrano as well, coming through her first round against Bogdan, although I'm sure most people had her as the favourite in that match, but still good result.
It was a big mess. She was like 5-2 up in the third with double break, 2 breaks. She had too much points at 5-4, and then of course eventually she clinched it. I still think she can go actually really deep. She's playing Mertens next. I will see her as I mean Mertens, as solid as she is, that's both a flaw and an asset, I think. And at the same time, she can play Osorio, she can play Giorgio Pegula in the third round. That's really very good.
Also winnable, definitely.
Yeah.
Team, by the way, just getting started, already down a break to Pedro Kachin. Have you got any faith in that match, Damien?
Not really. Like I don't think Kachin is necessarily gonna play as well as he did in Madrid, which I think has been influencing a lot of people's judgment. But Madrid conditions, they are so much better for him than anything that he can see here. I think at the same time, Kachin has definitely impressed me this year with the fact that he actually has staying power on the ATP tour. I had no idea that he was going to have it. I just thought that it was going to be one peak year in 2022. But that said, recently I've like last week before Roland Garros, well, that wasn't last week, but 2 weeks ago, for example, he played in Oeiras, and some pretty slow clay. He did not look dangerous at all. He was struggling with Eduardo Ribeiro, then lost a very simple match to Nicolas Moreno de Alboran. I don't know. I mean, both Team and Kachin for me, they're like kind of average main tour players right now, I think, and we kind of have to just. I know it sounds weird with Team, right, because of how good he was, but just looking at how he's been doing, I don't think he's made that much progress other than that Tsitsipas match, which also, of course, very good. But it's not like Kachin hasn't played some good matches himself. I think they're just both kind of average on clay right now when it comes to the main tour landscape, and I basically see him like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah, fair. I think he's winning that match against Team at the same time. But yeah, Team just uninspiring. It's a bit of a shame where he is at the moment. Ghost with a pretty big question there. Coaching different generations, do you recommend or not recommend certain strategies or playing styles? Of course, yeah, there's tons of sort of strategies and playing styles I would teach that I have learned from watching the best guys on tour play. I mean, I'd always teach a two-hander over a one-hander, but I'm willing to teach one-handers if that becomes more natural for a player.
No, but I think that the question is like whether if the guy or whether the person you're teaching is like from a certain generation, whether they would actually, you would actually tell them to play like that just based on their age.
Yeah, it's not necessarily age, Ghost. It's about what are the limitations of the player. If their movement's impaired, I'd definitely teach them to play differently to other players. If you're playing over 70s doubles, I'm going to teach you to do lob on the juice court to get to the backhand and finish the point at the net. I probably wouldn't teach that to players that are like 30 because the ball's going a lot faster. Lobs are a lot to do, harder to do off the serve. Stuff like that. Lobs become a lot more of a shot you'd use for over 70s matches. So the slice, of course, there's tons and tons to it. Definitely, Damien, in short goes, definitely. I would teach different things to different generations, but it's quite a big question. I can talk you through it one day.
Yeah, there was also one again about like as Iga ages, will she need to develop a drop shot? I don't know. I mean, she's clearly doing fine with it. Maybe if there are more players like Rybakina Sabalenka taking it to her, then she will look for some other options. But then again, against Sabalenka Rybakina, would she really be able to use the drop shot much? Nah. So
I like I know what you mean by it might mess with her head a little bit, Damien, because I like the conviction with which Iga picks shots and plays them, if that makes sense. There's no doubting herself. There's no second guessing. She picks a shot and she goes for it. And there's a lot of focus on the psychology of Iga, and that, she wants to keep her head as clear as possible. That drop shot actually might be an issue. Just keeping herself simple on the court, keeping things clear. That's hugely underrated.
I get, my guess is that's what the team thinks, right? That just having more options in her disposal doesn't necessarily help her. That she should stick to the basics, which are clearly like better, superior to 99% other players, and beat them like that. There's also another one about the coaching. Do you also coach women differently from men?
Again, it's neither ageist nor is it sexist. It's just about which shots can this player play. Are they able to impart a lot of spin on the ball? Is it going to be a heavy ball? Are they playing incredibly flat? It depends on what shots they've got. I can't assume just based on sex or on age what the shots they're going to be playing are. I got to watch the player and pick from that. Basically, goes. It's a very versatile job. You've got to be very, very observational and figure out what it is that's best for the player. just depends what shots they've got in their arsenal, basically.
By the way, I have this I didn't think that we were going to talk about it today, but apparently coaching is a theme. So I have this observation, which is very very simple. Like it's an oversimplification for sure, but when I see beginner women tennis players, they're usually very content in just putting the ball on the other side of the net. There's a lot of moonballing, there's a lot of rallying. While when I see beginner men's tennis players, they seem to be just very frequently, already even if they still cannot produce the shots right, even if the basics aren't still great for them, they are already looking for some ways to win the points and for some flashy stuff. Is that oversimplification something that you also have noticed, or is it just mine? My feeling after not definitely not watching as many beginner tennis players as you, I think.
No, it's absolutely fair. Maybe a little bit of an oversimplification in that you tend to get older men will try and keep the point going for as long as possible if they're fairly new to the sport. I think younger guys who generally will have a little bit more physicality are looking. They have the power, they just don't know how to harness it, sort of thing. Whereas it tends to be a lot of women that have just joined the sport that don't have the hand-eye coordination to make stuff easy for themselves, don't have the athletic history to just destroy balls in any situation, basically. So it is just it's a matter of consistency a lot of the time, a lot of finding angles and stuff like that. That's definitely a fair observation, Damien, but yeah, it's not exclusive to men or women for sure. Definitely.
2 hours on the clock, by the way. So I guess the last set, it being pretty competitive, it kind of made it go a bit longer than we maybe would have expected. But it looks like Djokovic is in the clear anyway. Free game points right now for a 5-3 lead. It's gotten a little more just maybe gritty, but right now he finds a great forehand to the Kovacevic backhand side. Again, if he forces Kovacevic to just slice defensively, he kills the point in the next 2 or 3 shots.
Yeah, there was one there, yeah. I think I might be just a spot behind you there, Damien, because that was a very good example.
Yeah, I think that was probably the point that I was talking about. But yeah, this is actually something that Kovacevic has improved a lot this year. Like when he beat Ibing Wu in that great challenger final at the beginning of the season, he basically won it not by using his weaponry, but he actually won it by suddenly slowing things down and feeding Wu a lot of slices and just asking, what are you going to do with this? And of course, Ibing Wu is not exactly the most rally tolerant player in the world. And it worked out, and it also gave Kovacevic a bit of a chance to make his liability an asset. And yet on clay, I just feel like it doesn't really work out. On clay, he would actually need to be getting better depth of the backhand side, top spin, and he's not really doing that, I think.
Yeah, because you just don't really have a counter on that backhand side if you drop the ball short. So you've got to have something that can keep the ball deep. Otherwise, any approach to that backhand and you're toast. What's Sean saying? It makes sense. I have a problem with relying too much on my backhand slice because I have low confidence in my backhand top and flat.
Do you have a one-hander or a two-hander?
Must be a one-hander, right?
Yeah, because that's how I feel. That's how I feel, and I have a one-hander, so I also think that it might be a one-hander.
I went from playing a one-hander to playing a two-hander, and now I'm back to playing mainly slice, because once you get a good slice, it's perfect. You just got to make sure it doesn't float. You got to keep it fairly low over the net. Make sure you've got plenty of backspin on it. Make sure the racket's going forward, and you won't feel as exposed. Geordies versus Mancunians. How do you coach those animals? I haven't coached any Geordies or Mancunians yet, Ghost. Fortunately, I'm safe and I'm reserved only to Glaswegians so far, so I feel pretty lucky.
That's also a very interesting breed.
Yes, that's
Glaswegians,
true. But that's true. They're all kind enough on the court.
They're a whole new species, but okay. Anyway, 30-15 up, Kovacevic at 3-5 down. One more game, and then maybe he can pull off a miracle. That's what he has to be hoping for. Not the most interesting match in the world, but I guess we knew that, right?
We did. Yeah, we did. Don't think we expected to see much, really.
Also, actually, two-handed backhand from Ghosty, so...
Interesting. Okay. Well, learn to play the slice offensively, and you'll probably feel a little better about it. Ghost is what I would recommend. Take tips from Dan. Dan coaches it really well on the LTA website. He's got all his tips correct. It's how high he holds the slice and stuff, and right up to the back of his head before he releases it. A lot of good points on there.
I'm especially surprised as I think Vitas Gerulaitis played the one-hander. So, how did you not model your backhand after him? That's kind of weird, but okay, fair enough. I do think that two-handers are somewhat superior. I just had to play a one-hander like Federer, so
you can still use them. It's just I think most players that I've been teaching that have a one-hander don't learn to play them properly with enough spin. So if you've not got the margin on the one-hander, it tends to fall short a lot of the time. You can get attacked quite easily. The return of serve, I was going to say the return of serve isn't as much of an issue because generally you're not dealing with 120 mile/hour serves like the professionals. But yeah, it's more about the rally tolerance of it and can you play aggressively off it. It's not that common.
Yeah, that's true that very few amateur players have like good serves. But at the same time, like wouldn't actually producing more margin, producing more spin, doesn't it also require a lot of time? But I guess then the weight of shot at the amateur level also isn't going to be that huge.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time you'll have time to set up your shot. Certainly at the level I teach a lot of the time, so you should be able to set up something spinny. It tends to be an unforced error on that side. Most people can't generate the spin they should be. You just start with shape on both sides. Anybody learning a ground stroke with topspin, start with shape. Can you get it high over the net? Can you get it past the service line on every shot? Then the rest tends to come.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely a lot more effective at the amateur level than at the top right now. There are very few top players who actually can use, like, you could actually say that it's not a liability in their game, the one-hander. So, but there are also many youngsters with, well, maybe not many youngsters, but there are still youngsters on the ATP side coming in with one-handers. So hopefully the shot survives.
Who have we got? Well, we've got this guy, Kovacevic, I guess. We've
Kovacevic,
got Musetti, of course.
Tsitsipas, does he still count? I don't know.
Yeah,
Shapovalov, does he still count?
Not really a youngster.
In this event, Giovanni Pecci-Pericard.
Okay, yeah. I've not seen him play yet. I saw him in the draw, but I've not seen him play yet.
But he's not a good example for one-handers being able to stay alive in the sport.
Okay.
Definitely not. There's also a Slovak junior, Peter Benjamin Privara. He is also he is very high in the juniors, but I'm not sure if he's going to make it. And the reason why I'm not sure is the one-hander. So he's also not a good argument, really. Sure.
It's got to be a good one-hander. That's the thing. It's a rough world for those one-handers out there. Tsitsipas is opening the academy for one-handers. Of course, we heard about that. So there will come a time for them. Maybe not today. Djokovic is serving for the match, by the way. 5-4. Currently in an extended rally. There might be over already. It is on my screen now. That's an unforced error. Djokovic goes down left 15. Will be interested to see if there's a wobble here, Damien. That's about as interesting as it could get if Djokovic can't hold this out. I imagine every rally, bar a few, will end in an unforced error if it stays this windy. He has changed racket. I don't know if feeling like the tension needs to be a little higher just to control the ball a bit better. That would be my play. I don't think I've seen Kovacevic with too many aggressive points recently, so outlasting him might be the best idea.
Just completely stumped Kovacevic here with the serve to the forehand. We saw the American already, getting to the left side of the court, trying to set up for the forehand. But yeah,
that is the Novak bread and butter. The second serve slider to the forehand in the ad court. Nobody plays it better for me. Nobody. So good at it.
I'm thinking of no, but actually, I think he does it better on the deuce side. But maybe like JJ Wolf.
JJ Wolf.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Honestly, Kovacevic has a pretty good serve like that too.
But on seconds, in terms of history as well, in
Yeah, like
terms of
it's mostly on the first. Although Kovacevic played a few nasty sliders here on the second serve in this match. But yeah, like probably not comparable.
yeah, I mean, because of the scale of player as well, because of who Djokovic is
Hmm.
playing all the time, the scale of matches is such a big shot for me because it
Fair
stops
enough.
people
Fair
attacking
enough.
the serve. It's too big. Oh my god, it's gotten Goretti, and that's another point. Unforced error there from Djokovic to go down 15-30.
Sean also says he played the one-hander, but he actually struggled with the return. Personally, I don't really struggle, but that's like that. Yeah, again, that's I'm not facing 200 kilometers an hour serves, and also I have a pretty good cheap return, I think, which helps a lot. But yeah, I think if I played someone like Djokovic and he was serving to my backhand, I would probably just die. Whereas on the forehand, maybe sometimes you could connect and just be lucky, and maybe sometimes it lands in. But on the backhand, I think I would just be completely destroyed.
I do agree, to be fair, Sean. It's easier to return with a two-hander. It just feels like you've got more control out in the stretch. So I am inclined to agree with him.
2 breakpoints for Kovacevic, actually. Some good depth on the forehand, and Djokovic doesn't handle it well. That's interesting now. 5-all would be, still quite close to actually losing the set. So let's see.
Especially the way he's been playing. Yeah, it's been very ropey for the last wee while. He's not done anything that's been 3 unforced errors to give the 3 break points, the 2 break points even. Popin lost, by the way, Damien. You were right on the Karatsev pick.
Yes.
So we'll see. He could go far.
I mean, yeah, just no disappointment for me if he loses to Tiafoe, I guess. I just want to see it, if he can actually pull it off.
Yeah,
Tiafoe,
fair.
Zverev, they're not too dangerous right now. Sinner, as you said, question marks. But I'm glad that we at least get to see if he pulls it off, because it wouldn't really be the case, I think, if he lost to Popperin.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely fair.
And
And
Djokovic has Kovacevic slicing and misses the forehand. So I think there was maybe a bit of hesitation where he was trying to at first hit into the Kovacevic was thinking of hitting into the Kovacevic forehand, but then maybe chose at the last second to actually do it the other way around. And that sort of doubt often kills you. 2 hours 11 minutes, and it's 5-all in the third set. Upset of the century brewing in from the Barbary Ice.
It's certainly not been that promising, has it? And it's gotten very scrappy. You imagine this is still going to go straight sets, though, even if it gets a little ugly. I don't think it's very easy for Kovacevic to assert his game either. I think Djokovic is having consistent problems with his contacts, though. That's about the 6th time I've seen him rubbing his eyes. Okay, 5-all, Damien. Wonder if it gets interesting.
That's what we'll see in the very near future. Otherwise, I guess Taro Daniel beat Chris O'Connell, but he was injured, like struggled with something. I'm not exactly sure what, but I just read it on Twitter, and he also had like a medical timeout. And otherwise, I guess no matches have finished since we last made an update, I think.
No, I don't think so. I'm looking around. I think
neither.
you said Chapel won, right?
Yeah, that was. Oh, actually, maybe I didn't, but that was quite a while ago already, I think. Yeah. After Kovacevic and Djokovic are finished, I'm definitely gonna go watch Medvedev Giron, but not a great start for the Serbians so far. 0-4 down, 0-4 for love 30 in the game as well. So that's not amazing. And there are a few other matches today that I'm definitely excited about. Is Davidovic Fokina the main?
Yes, of course, yeah. I've
course,
predicted a pretty rocky road for Chorich. I don't think he'll lose to Korea, but I could see that getting a bit sticky. Maybe a
Have you checked how Korea has been doing?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have. But I still think if Chorich is feeling a little bit cold at the start of the tournament, Korea could just do a lot of patient.
I mean, I just don't know if Korea is healthy, right? So.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a health thing.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played since Banja Luka, and he retired there after the first set. So like on clay, he basically played one match. I'm not talking about the Golden Swing, of course, because there he played a lot. But then after the Sunshine Double, he only played one match and retired after the opening set against Albot. So that's basically what I'm referring to. But yeah, if Coria was like at his peak, if it was the Coria that made the final in Cordoba in February, I would actually be saying that this is a very close match. Absolutely.
I suppose I was more thinking about Chorich. I know he's done well in Madrid and Rome, but I don't know, something about his
Did he
game
do
on a
well in
clay court.
Rome? Did he do well in Rome?
Yeah, I think he got to the quarters. Pretty sure. Did he not? I think he did.
I mean, he was in the semis in Madrid, but I don't think he did that well. Oh, actually, he got to the quarters. Ah, yeah, that was okay, but because he beat Maroshan and also beat Monteiro like after a crazy comeback. But you know, he beat Monteiro, Carballes Baena, and Maroshan to get to the quarters. So
Yeah, but there's some rocky
there was some luck
matches.
involved.
Yes,
There was some luck involved for sure.
Exactly, yes. I'm not massive on him on slow clay. I think it'll be a bit difficult, even if Coria is a little bit out of sorts. Team broke back, by the way, so it's now 3-4 in that match. That's a bit as hopeful as I can get, to be honest. I don't know how much else I can say about Team other than he broke back in a set. It's not the biggest news in the world. We really are clutching at straws in terms of the Dominic Thiem career, and this match feels kind of massive, just given his history at the French Open. He was already in the doldrums, so to speak. Most people had written him off, and I think a first round loss here.
I was really disappointed when he lost to Moutet in Bordeaux, frankly, because it felt like he was getting something going. You know, he lost to Rune in Monte Carlo, Fritz in Munich, Tsitsipas in Madrid, like top 10 players only. Maybe only one of these matches was like extremely competitive, but still. I didn't really care about the Mauthausen loss to Medjedovic. Fast clay, Medjedovic is amazing. Okay, that like I fully expected it actually that Medjedovic was gonna beat Thiem in Mauthausen. But yeah, I just thought that he was going to do more in Bordeaux, and Moutet, who doesn't have a backhand right now. Yeah, it was just really weird for me to see that, and I guess this was what made me a little more pessimistic. Are we ever going to see Maroshan again this year, or is he a clay court specialist? He has played like 90% of his matches in his career on clay. So I don't know, if he gets another couple of good results, gets to the top 100, we're probably going to see him in some indoor events. He has made a few good runs indoors. I think in 2021 he was a semi-finalist in Bergamo. Then last year he was in the final in Bratislava. There is in theory, there is no real reason why Maroshan shouldn't be as good indoors as he is on clay, you know, with how aggressive he is. I think eventually in the future he probably will be competitive on faster courts as well. I am excited to see what he can do on grass with the serve, with just how early he wants to finish the points and take the ball early as well, of course. I do think though that the drop shot doesn't really work as well as on clay, of course, which like is true for most players, and that's probably what really has been making him slightly less effective. But clearly, even though he has like 20 matches indoors in his career, he still already has a final at the Challenger and a semi at the Challenger. So it is a possibility that we're going to see more of Marosha on the main tour. But for that, he probably has to break the top 100, which until August he has a very good chance to do, because in August he drops 80 points for winning Panialuka, which was his maiden Challenger title last year. But he is pretty close right now, so I think that there is a possibility there still. I'm not sure what his scheduling is actually like after Roland Garros, but I'm assuming that he's signed up for some clay challengers. Heilbronn, Perugia, yeah. So if he does well there, of course, then he's probably gonna play. I mean, definitely he's gonna play Wimbledon qualifying after that.
He's an exciting player, definitely, just after that win, so it will be interesting to see how he gets on. By the way, Djokovic with a forehand approach there, fluffs the volley as it gets onto him a little quickly, and it's love 15 here, second serve. Does he go for the? I was gonna say, does he go for the big slider down the tee again? I think maybe Kovacevic will be ready for it this time. Does go for it. Gets the return back into play. Again, another scrappy rally. Kovacevic just going shapy past the service line. Nothing mental. Probably waiting for the Djokovic error. Yeah, and then slices Damien and loses the point on the subsequent shot. it's not really working against Novak, is it? I remember the slice against Nadal stats. They're just mental. I don't know if you've heard those before, but when an opponent used to
Not sure
slice
what you're
against
referring. No.
Nadal, the stats were something along the lines of he'd win the point literally 85% of the time.
He'd win the point. Okay.
Nadal would win the point
Yeah.
85% of the time. Just insane.
Guess it makes sense. Once he's in control of the point, he's like never gonna let it go and just hit either to that side of the forehand or to the other, right? Clearly, especially when he has that forehand from the backhand position, I suppose.
It's because if you slice into the forehand, you give Nadal time, and if you slice into the backhand, Nadal immediately recognises that and tends to run around them and from it inside out forehand position.
There are some crazy forehands like this, right, from him, like the one against Kukushkin at Wimbledon, for example. And the shot that I'm referring to, when he just runs around what seems to be like the full width of the court in this context, and just blast the inside out forehand winner.
His inside out forehand was terrifying. Genuinely, I think it was more terrifying than anybody else's. It was genuinely horrifying.
It works somewhat similar, I suppose, here, right? When it comes to Djokovic, Kovacevic, like when Djokovic is just able to get that defensive slice from Kovacevic and is on his backhand side, he's just able to direct either inside in, inside out, and just never lose the point from there. And I guess Kovacevic would not be great. I mean, Nadal would not be a great matchup for Kovacevic either.
No, he don't. On Chatrier, you don't say, Damien. I'm not sure. not sure how that one would go.
Has the first pitch been thrown on the ADF Fields match yet? I don't think so. It's like in a long while, right?
Are we still talking baseball, Jane? I think we are. I don't think so. No, they haven't started yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be like in an hour. Let me check. It's after Svitolina Trevisan, so that match has like basically just started. 20 minutes.
That match will be interesting to see where that goes. Actually,
I still don't rate Trevisan almost at all, frankly. So I don't know. She retired in Rabat, and of course that was not the biggest thing for her. Roland Garros is bigger with 720 points. But Rabat still 250, so I think she won it last year. So I don't know. I think that Svitolina has a very fine chance after winning in Strasbourg.
I was just looking up who she beat last year. She actually had a pretty good run in terms of opponents. Harriet Dart, Magdalene, Daria Saville, Sasnovich. Even I wouldn't have said Sasnovich is the most comfortable on this surface. Fernandez is a good win in the quarters, and then she lost to Coco Gauff fairly handily. She could get beaten pretty easily in the first round by Svitolina, for sure.
A decent run, I suppose, but at the same time, nothing really exceptional, I would say. But yeah, she has been like her runs are really absurd. She sometimes just comes up and plays an amazing event, and you can never really predict it. You can never really expect it. And the same in 2020. Which I guess, the run that she had in 2020 here at Roland Garros was actually even better. She beat Gauff, Sakkari, and Bertens in a row.
That was the cold French Open, of course, as well. I guess as it gets slower, you'd fancy Trevisan's chances more. So she was probably a little more effective that day, that fortnight, than she was in 2022. Svitolina, though, with the first break point of that match, she is threatening at 3-2 in the first set. And Djokovic with the first 2 points of this tiebreak, 2-love up.
And Medvedev is actually having a medical timeout after losing the first set in a bagel. However, in the final qualifying round, he lost the first set in a bagel and then won 6-2, 6-2 in the next 2 sets against Jesper de Jong. So maybe it's not the end yet. He has done it before.
We also saw Laszlo Djere yesterday against Andrei Rublev. Of course, he had a medical timeout after that first set, 6-1 loss. And then Rublev, he had no idea what was going on. Djere raised his level. It took a while for Rublev to find his footing back into that match. So a lot of the time, people say it's bad to win the first set 6-love. I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but I would say it can mess with your head a little bit. You need to keep the momentum up. So a medical timeout at the start of the second set could be a little bit of a momentum loser. Where are we in this match? We are currently 3-1 Djokovic in the tiebreak. It's looking comfortable. Djokovic tiebreaks, of course. The infamous lockdown modes should do the trick. Well, that one-hander up the line
errors
was
in like 50, 50 points or something like that. Yeah.
What, in the 2019 final?
Yeah. That was not 50 points, of course, but
Would have been roughly
20, 27, I don't know, something like that. It was about something like this. 3 tiebreaks against Federer, and like he committed no unforced errors, I think.
Yeah.
In all of them, 20 something points, I think. I would have to count it. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, good double entendre there from Sean on the screen. Definitely hoping for that home run, but I don't know if it's possible after Lyon, but I hope so.
Do you think he might be a bit tired?
Yeah, and I also think that while he has won his first ATP Tour title on clay just a week ago, he is still very vulnerable to like fast players who just shrink the court. And yeah, I just think that Davidovich Fokina is very likely to do it. Somewhat similarly, like I don't know, Davidovich Fokina played Ibing Wu this year, and just the Chinese just had no idea how to hit through him. And I think here it could be very similar. That Fields just will be leaking errors, and I don't think it's really like I don't think it will really say anything wrong about his potential or something. Even if that run in Lyon was pretty poor compared to like how tough it is usually to win an ATP Tour title. But I do think that in quicker conditions he is going to be more effective, and he would have a better shot against Davidovich Fokina as well. But of course, I would like if it is competitive, I'm gonna be very happy with that. I don't think it will be like other than maybe a set or something.
Yeah, fair.
Feels Djokovic would be like a mouth-watering matchup for me in the third round, but yeah, quite far away. Mm-hmm.
As you say though, that could be a little bit difficult for Fields to overcome the idea of that defensive movement from Djokovic. Just makes the court a bit smaller. It could end up being a pretty bad matchup actually in a lot of ways if Djokovic is in full flow. Otherwise though, yeah, I mean there's absolutely the talent there for Arthur to cause the upset.
Yeah, I also don't think it would be a good matchup, yeah, but I would still love to see it.
Likewise. 6-1, Djokovic in the tiebreak in the third set. That's 5 match points. Anybody looking to place a bet? Probably looking at about 100 to 1 on Kovacevic at the moment.
And it's done.
Okay.
Hug at the net. As I said earlier, Kovacevic is like, Djokovic is his idol. So definitely quite a big moment for him there as well. Kovacevic, as you probably would have guessed from the name, is also of Serbian origin. So maybe for that reason. Djokovic is also even a bigger hero to him.
It's nice. Like to see it.
Well, yeah. 2 hours, 26 minutes. Pretty long, actually, I would say. Probably a touch more competitive than I would have expected, but that's only on the third set, really. So
I was originally giving Kovacevic a fourth set or at one of the sets, just based on the fact Djokovic might be a bit rusty, it might take a while for their forehand to get going. Yeah, didn't surprise me too much. There was a little bit of a wobble in that third set, but also, yeah, we didn't really learn much. We'll need to wait till the next match before we really know how Djokovic is feeling. That was kind of just a standard round of 128 for Djokovic, who, by the way, hasn't lost in the first round since 2007, I believe. So he was never losing. Wasn't
at the French or at the Slam?
At a Slam.
Okay.
It's pretty impressive.
So even at the French, I guess he would only lose to... Well, I guess he would never lose at the French, right? In the first round, then.
That sounds about right, Damien. I'm just double checking, but I think you might be right. He has never lost in the first round of the French.
Yeah, and who did he lose to in 2007? That's a good exercise.
Sorry, it wasn't 2007. I did think that sounded a bit. It was
Yeah, because
2006.
he lost to Federer, Nadal, right, at the French, Nadal at Wimbledon as well. Yeah. So it couldn't be 2007. 2006 is it like the most random player in the world that I
Do
can
you know
think of?
what? I might know it. I want to say Safan, maybe, or maybe that was on his debut. I'm gonna look it up. No, it wasn't.
I
I
don't think
think
Safin was in the first round, or maybe it was 2005 in the first round. I do have one answer, which is like the most random player you could really think of
I've got it
when
in
it
front
comes
of
to
me.
beating Djokovic, and I think I know. Oh, actually, yeah, Safin was in the first round in 2005 in Australia.
So
But
I
yeah,
was right about that. But then, yeah, the one in 2006. I've got the player here. If you want to take a guess.
Paul Goldstein, right?
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I
Good
just
flip.
I only know it because it's so random. Like literally, someone told me like I don't know a year ago or something that Paul Goldstein beat Novak Djokovic in a slam, and it stuck with me because what I mean Paul Goldstein beat Novak Djokovic, and that's like also a first round exit, right? So
Yeah,
if you would be I don't know telling people to name every single guy that Novak lost to at a slam, no one would remember Paul Goldstein. And this
yeah,
is literally the only reason why I remember him because it's so absurd. But
yeah.
if
Fair.
I also wouldn't be able to tell you if it was the first round or if it was the second round. Definitely not.
That's so those two first rounds we've just mentioned. That's the only two times Djokovic has ever lost in the first round of a slam. So he's not
Oh,
lost in the first round of the French, Wimbledon, or the US Open.
oh, so these were both Australian Open matches. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Very surprising. I mean, by anybody's standards, that's mad. I would say.
Yeah, but I guess it's not that. I mean, for the other players in the big three, it's also pretty similar, right? Like Federer had a lot of first round losses at the beginning, of course, because he like didn't actually break through as swiftly as Nadal and Djokovic. But I guess since he became a top player, he also wouldn't really lose in the first round. Nadal only
Yeah,
had that one against Darcy's, I think.
I think I can tell you Federer lost to Rafter on debut in his
Yeah,
first
at the
round loss.
French, yeah. I think he also lost to like maybe Kafielnikov or someone in the first round in 2000, maybe the year after. Like, he would have a few first round losses at the beginning. And I guess Nadal only lost to Darcy's, or maybe I'm forgetting someone in the opening round.
That can't be his only first round loss, surely.
Could be, I think, but I don't know. Yeah, Federer lost six times at the slams in the first rounds, but that's literally all before 2003. Well, there's one in 2003, French Open 2003. He lost in the first round, and a month later he won Wimbledon. So
Hmm.
since he became a top player, he actually never lost in the first round, only losing in the second round to Stakowski, and like a couple of times in the third round to Kuerten at the French and also to Seppi at the Australian Open.
I can remember another Nadal first round loss.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they lost to Verdasco in the Australian
Oh,
Open.
oh yeah. Five setter, yeah.
Yeah, 2016. That might be
You're right.
it.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that much. So yeah, big story because of their Australian Open semi, of course.
Yeah,
But that's probably the only ones I think. Darcy's and Verdasco. Would be surprised if there's more, unless it's something in like 2003. But even on his slam debut, he went to the third round, so I'm not
yeah.
sure there will be.
Ghost, I love these sort of stats. These are the kind of stats I fawn over for. Like when people get lost in Wikipedia, that's basically me just going through like big three stats, and they all just get saved to memory by accident.
I
I'm
even
obsessed.
like sometimes like look for tennis trivia quizzes and do them. So yeah, I
Yeah,
generally any trivia. I just love it. I could just literally sit and do trivia quizzes and stuff for hours. So yeah.
quite a good one. I'm going to send it now on the chat. Is a Grand Slam winners on Sporkle. I can get it up. I don't know if you've done this before, Damien, but it's worth giving a
Mm,
go. Can you name all 219 winners of Grand Slams in the Open era? So here you go. I'll
I
put it
can
in
do it
the.
now.
You can do it now. So here
Yeah,
you go.
let's see. Let's see. Why not?
There's
Can I
the
can I
move
copy this?
like
Actually, there's no. Is there a way to
possibly.
copy this? I
I
don't think
think.
so.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue, I
If
suppose.
you do it on YouTube, you can. If you open the YouTube link to Talking
Um,
Tennis, you should be able to open this. Or
I,
alternatively, you can just type in
Yeah, I
Sporkle.
will try to type in.
Just
So
type in Sporkle tennis Grand Slam winners. That should
men's
work.
tennis Grand Slam winners 219. So it's pre-Open era.
Pre-Open era.
No,
We could. I mean,
no. It's just Open era. Okay,
it's
thank
Open
you.
era.
No,
Yeah, it's
I
Open
mean
era.
men's is easy, right? I mean
To get all 219, when it gets down to that
see.
last 5, Damien, it can get a little tough. I've done it
Okay, so
before.
I will start from the top. Djokovic, of course.
Right,
Federer,
here we go. I
Nadal,
mean, we're doing this now.
Medvedev.
Nadal, Federer.
2020 US Open. I'm already forgetting, but it's team.
Wait. Hold on. Do this, Damien.
Huh?
Right. Try this. Hold on. If you do this, and then share.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Where are we in terms of like the players lower down? Okay.
At
So
the
we've
moment,
got
I've got Federer, Djokovic, Nadal.
yeah. Just type in Wawrinka, of course.
Yeah. Murray.
Murray, yeah. Del
Potro.
Potro. Well, Safin will be there. 2005 Australia.
Team Medvedev, Safin.
Johansson, 2002 Australia.
Moreno,
2005
Johansson.
is Gaudio, Gaston Gaudio.
Gaudio, Quertin.
Yes, Curtin. Costa,
Agassi.
2002.
Sampras, Costa.
Hewitt.
Hewitt.
2001 Wimbledon is Ivan Isavic, yeah.
Yeah, got you.
2003 US, Roddick, which is
So we've done that. We'll go up to here.
Yeah. Let's just go from the bottom and yeah, it's gonna be good. Can you actually move it down a little bit because I don't see like because of the comment. Oh yeah, that would be good. Thanks.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. But I'll get rid of that. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh yeah, now it's gonna be better. 98 Australia is Corda, right?
Corda.
98 French. Jesus.
Feel free to shout out in the comments, by the way, if you see a space.
Moya, Carlos Moya.
Moya, nice.
French. Sergi Bruguera will be there, the French.
Yeah,
93
nice.
and 94. Then Mustard,
right?
Thomas Mustard, 95. 96 Australia. That's Becker. That's Becker's last.
Oh, that's good. And of course,
Krajcek.
Yeah, that's it. Krajcek. That's it.
Yeah. Pat Rafter at the US Open.
Yeah, for 2 in a row. And
yes.
You've got
Courier.
Not Vias.
Well, not yet. Jim Courier. Stick at Wimbledon 91.
Yeah.
US 92, is that like Lendl or Edberg still? Maybe Edberg.
Lendl. Right? Chang's somewhere in the French. There we go.
89. 90 is Andres Gomez at the French.
Gomez, that's a good answer, David. Well done.
92. I think that's going to be Edberg at the US Open. Or is it?
Yeah, for a couple of years in a row. Nice.
88 French, Philander. And I think he won 3.
Cash, right, for 87 Wimbledon?
Yeah, there. Philander, no, he won 3 in 88.
Here we go. Already in the...
Yeah, it's really easy. I know we're going to get them all. Yannick Noah, 83 at the French.
Brian Teacher, 1980 Australia.
Yeah.
Yannick
Noah,
yeah, of course.
Johan Kriek, twice at the Australian Open in a row.
Yeah.
Wimbledon, well, McEnroe and Connors.
There we go, Ghost, McEnroe, and of course Gary Lattis from Ghost there has to go in at some point.
Connors,
yep, that's a few.
And we are very close already.
We're getting there, aren't we?
Well, Vilas, you had him. You wanted to type him in earlier.
I didn't type in Vilas. Yeah, there we go.
He's definitely going to be there. Adriano Panatta in 1976 French.
Is that double N there or a double T maybe? That's it.
Yeah, I think it's double T. Yeah, I always struggle with this. Arthur Ashe, I think, won 1975 Wimbledon. Or
Ashe, nice. We've got Thingamabob, our number 1 in the world, coming up. Romanian.
Nastase,
yep.
Stan Smith.
Yep, that's a good answer.
Kodesh, 3 slams.
How do you spell Kodesh again? Is it
Kodesh? With E. Kodes.
That's it, Kodesh. That's it.
Lever, of course.
Lever,
Newcomb as well.
Yep, and then you've got the other Aussie.
Rosewall.
Rosewall will be there.
1972 French is, I think, Andres Jimeno.
Jimeno?
Yes. With G at the beginning. The same like you did, but G at the beginning. Yes. Andres Jimeno.
Yeah?
He died
No.
recently. Yeah.
Oh my God, I would not have got
In
that answer, Damien.
1975, US is Manuel Orantes.
Orantes, that's a good answer.
And
And
we've
then
just two left, and I actually know them both. So if you want to, you can try to take guesses, but
it'll
I
take me
actually know them.
ages to. I'll try though if you give me a second.
Yeah.
Trying to think. One of them's when there was like a very sort of lesser field, right? And I think the finalist was like John Lloyd, maybe, or was that the year that Gary Latest won?
I'm not sure
Um,
which one. Yeah, John Lloyd was definitely in the final, but I'm not sure which one was that.
Who beat him? Might not come to me. Go on, tell me.
Well, one of them is the lowest ranked Grand Slam winner ever, I think, at like 212.
It was probably this guy then. I can't remember who that was.
Australian, Mark Edmondson,
Oh, I
1976.
wouldn't have remembered Edmonton. That's with an
Edmondson
U.
with O.
Is I know.
Edmondson, yeah. And then 77 January is an American who was like the prototype for the huge servers of today.
Give me a clue. Well, that is a good clue, actually.
A pretty controversial figure later on. He had some like allegations against him or something, like some issues with the law, but I don't know if that actually helps. Otherwise, can I really help you? I think he coached maybe someone, but I'm not sure. I think it was like a while ago. I'm not. I don't know if I can give you any other hint.
No, go on.
Realistically,
Tell me. I don't know it. Tell me.
Roscoe Tanner.
No, I wouldn't have remembered Tanner. That's tough. That is tough. Well done, Damien. That was good.
Yeah, man, I knew that was going to be easy, but women's, I think I would miss a few.
You want to give it a go?
We could do it, you know.
I'm
8
quite
people
enjoying it
still
now.
watching, so they are having fun. Actually,
If people enjoy it,
yeah, people are having fun, so why not?
By the way, for those watching, Djokovic's match has finished. We're just entertaining ourselves for a second.
Yeah, so we're just doing something like after the match. Probably the last thing we'll do will be this women's quiz. Hopefully, we are actually gonna make it, but who knows?
Right, start for the bottom.
Yeah, and I'm already struggling.
On tech.
2022 Australian Open. Who the hell won it? Barty? Yeah, Barty.
Yeah. I'm just going to start tucking names out there. Andreescu.
Yeah. Krejcikova.
2021 US was, of course, Raducanu.
Yeah. Halep, 19 Wimbledon.
Yeah, Williams. Let's just chuck a bunch of Williams in there.
Yeah. Kerber, 3 times.
Kerber, yep.
Wozniacki will be there, right? 2018 Australia. Ski, yeah.
Stevens, US Open 2017. Wimbledon.
Muguruza.
Yep, good answer. 27 French, that was, of course, Ostapenko.
Yeah.
2015 US. Panetta. How do you spell Panetta again? Is that P-E-N?
Double N, double T, maybe? That's what I'll go for.
Yeah. 14 French was...
Sharapova. Twice.
Sharapova,
12 and 14.
Good answer. 2014 Australia.
Nali over Cibulkova.
Who, sorry? Who?
Nali.
Oh, Nali.
Over Cibulkova, yeah.
13 Wimbledon was...
Bartoli.
Yes, of course, hand in hand with Andy, now I remember. 2013 Australia.
Azarenka twice in a row.
Yes, of course, 2 years in a row.
Kim Clijsters, maybe 2011 Australia, I think.
Yep.
Without the
answer. And in 2011, no, that was wrong for 2011 US. Oh,
that's Stosur.
Henin as well.
That's Stosur, yeah, over Williams in the final. 2010 French is one of my favorites. Schiavone, beautiful playstyle.
What? Who?
Francesca Schiavone.
I've completely forgotten about her. Is that Schiavone?
With an H, yes.
Like that.
After the C, there's an H. Yeah.
I forgot about Schiavone. Wow.
Kuznetsova, 2009 French, I think.
Yes. Yep. Kuznetsova. And then 2008.
And that's another one of my favorite players, Ivanovic, 2008 French Open.
Yeah, nice. Good get.
Frankly, mostly because of the looks. I was a big fan at the beginning of my
fair, Damien. Shameless, but that's fair. I like it.
Moresmo,
Moresmo. There we go. And then we got Pierce as well, right? Coming up.
Yeah, but 2004 French, Meskina, Anastasia Meskina.
How do you spell Meskina?
Just like you hear it. M-Y-S, Meskina with a Y. E. Okay, sorry, you don't know Russian Slavic phonetics.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Skina.
Oh, I forgot about
Yeah, like
Messina.
if you tell it to someone who's Slavic, it's gonna be just like you hear it. But actually, it's fair that for you, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be like that. Capriati right now and Davenport, I
Yes,
suppose.
nice. Capriati.
Yeah.
And Davenport, yep, like it. And you'll
Hingis
have Hingis, yeah, good point.
with a lot of slams there.
Of course, we'll have Sellers coming up.
Oh
We'll
yeah, and
have
Graf.
Graf, just to chuck a bunch in. We might as well chuck Navratilova in there too, and Everett. Why not? They're coming up.
Yeah, why not? 98 French is Eva Maioli, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. Majoli.
I've totally forgot about
Oh,
Majoli.
97 French, not 98. So
Oh,
98,
that's
I don't
good.
know who that is actually. Well, Novotna will be Wimbledon 98.
Novotna, yeah.
But 98 French?
The Spanish player? Was it
Oh yeah, Sanchez Vicario probably. Yeah,
Vicario. There we go.
And Martinez for the Wimbledon 1994, also Spanish.
Who was that? Sorry for
Conchita Martinez, the
Martinez.
Muguruza's coach, right? And Sabatini for the US Open 90.
Sabatini, of course. Good favorite.
87 Australia. Oof, this is where it gets tough,
this is
right?
gonna get tough.
Mantlikova, maybe.
Good call. I think she did win a few. Well done. That's filled in a lot of gaps actually. We're now on to 81 US Open.
Billie Jean King, that's probably a bit earlier, but why not?
Yes, a bit earlier.
Tracy Austin.
Nice, good answer. 80 Wimbledon. You will have Court in there eventually. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, true. Sue Barker won one of them, I think.
Barker,
and Virginia Wade won Wimbledon in 77.
Nice, good answer.
Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle time now, but Mima Yausovets, I think, won slam too. JAUSOVEC.
Oh my god, no.
Yes.
I know
Yvonne Gulagong Coley.
Gulagong, that's a good answer. Like it.
Yeah, now it's good. Now it gets tough. I think there was someone named Chris O'Neill.
O'Neill, yeah, that rings a bell.
That sounds right? Australia, yeah.
I'm struggling now. If there's any answers in the comments, I'm keen to hear them. We're missing one Wimbledon winner.
Barbara Jordan. Is there someone like that? Is someone like that exists? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure if someone like this exists because I literally have never even seen these players, like only their names, right? So they can get mixed up. I think there's also like a Brit called Jones, but I don't know if that's
Jones. Yes, Anna Hayden Jones. Well done. So you're only missing 3 answers.
I think I know who won the French in 78, but the other 2 for now, I have no idea. I think it's Virginia Ruzici. Ruzici. She always she's like who are we talking about? Goldstein. She's like Paul Goldstein. That she I never remember she exists, but that's actually she's so absurd that this is why I remember. But yeah, right now it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I'm done on the other 2. I've got no clue. I cannot remember those.
77 Australia and 68 at the French. Who'd played like alongside Margaret Court ever?
Yeah, well, like a few of her rivals. Maybe one that just got one in the Open era.
Yeah. Because it seems like it would be someone like that, right? Someone who would be like in her generation and just got one in the Open era, probably had more success in the amateurs.
Yeah.
And 77...
No. Can't tell you. Might be an Aussie, possibly.
Yeah, it could be. 68 at the French can't be an Aussie. I mean, it can be an Aussie, but it's possible that it's someone from another country. But
I might need to bow out. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I don't even have any guesses anymore. I wonder if these are even going to be players who like we know or actually not. I think there was someone like Doris Hart in
Heart's
Court's
a good
era,
call. But no,
but
I'm pretty sure it's Heart without the E. Yeah.
it's without the E, I think. But yeah,
I think
but
Doris Hart was
apparently she
from.
didn't win a slam.
I think she was from too long ago. Actually, I remember saying that.
She could have been even further, yeah,
Yeah, pretty
into the
sure.
past.
Right, I'm gonna click give up.
We can
Here we
do
go.
it. Yeah, I don't really have a guess anymore.
Nancy Ritchie and Kerry Melville Reid.
No way. We could be sitting there here for like 2 hours, and I would never guess either of these names. So
Yeah, that's fair. I was never getting them. I can't, they don't even ring a bell, actually. Particularly Kerry Melville Reid. I haven't a clue.
yeah, Nancy Ritchie. I think I've heard this before. I think
Maybe,
she's a Brit, probably, right? But Melville Reid, I've never even. I mean, I must have seen her name somewhere, but it just never really, made its mark. Let's say.
Yeah,
Nancy Ritchie. Let me see. Oh, she's actually American, not a Brit.
that was tough. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. That was good fun, Damien. Enjoyed that. I enjoy a bit of trivia myself. You flew through them though. It would take me so long to remember some of those names. Like, very, very impressive. Well done.
I mean, is it really like some good knowledge? Is it worthwhile? I don't think so, but well, at least we have it. At least we can pretend that we know something about tennis history, even if it's just random names and basically nothing about these players, like Barbara Jordan.
Yeah, I mean,
I know
picking
someone
names
like that existed.
No, exactly. So it counts. We can sum up a few of the scores just before we leave. We've got team currently a set and a breakdown, threatening with a double break. Your man Medvedev, he's currently a set and a double breakdown as well. Chorich managed to get the first set against Coria and a tie break, quite tight at least. Ramos
And you see what
Vinolas,
Wawrinka is doing? Jesus.
yeah, double breakdown to Ramos Vinolas in the
And
fourth set.
he was 4-2 up in the third.
Was he 4-2 up?
Yeah, he actually was 3-1 up and had 3 break points on the Ramos Vinolas serve. Then he was 4-2 up and had a break point on the Ramos Vinolas serve again, and then lost the set, and now looks like he's gonna lose. I mean, maybe even the match, but looks like it's going to a decider.
Oh, jeez. And then we've also got Bencic managed to take that second set against Avanesyan. Should be able to win the third if she keeps up that level. Svitolina threatening to knock out last year's semi-finalist Martina Trevisan, setting a break up there. Would hardly be too much of an upset. And I think that's all the score updates I've got for us at the moment. Not too many other ones. Yeah. I'm happy to close up shop there. Damien.
Me too. Absolutely. I think someone will end the stream for us from how it looks right now. We have a third party joining, sort of. And he's also going to show something on the screen. I'm not sure what, but anyway, thanks guys as usual for being in the comments and for just giving us stuff to talk about. Ghosty has a wicked crush on Trevisan. That's interesting.
I'm not against that, Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, she's fine. Thanks for your attention, your allowing us to talk about tennis here, and of course we had a lot of fun doing this and making our minds actually try to remember stuff, which is kind of tiring. And,
it's nice. It's energizing, David. It's quite the opposite.
My brain hurts right now.
There.
I'm ashamed that we didn't know Nancy Ritchie and Kerry Melville Reid.
Well, now we do. I guarantee, David, next time I come on the show, you'll remember those names. Just knowing your character.
Yeah, that's how you actually remember stuff, right? You make some connections. We're going to remember this very show when we learned about the existence of these two individuals. Anyway, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, we'll call it there, Damien. Thanks very much for joining us on Talking Tennis. We'll catch you very soon.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.